across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, this is The Late Show with Andre Walker, Asher Gould, and our guest co-host is young Bob, who is a political activist and journalist. But I have to say to you, I'm depressed because I'd forgotten that it was the sentencing today of the man who killed Rhiannon White. And we are back saying precisely the same thing, Asher, that we said yesterday.
Another innocent person murdered due to the incompetence and spinelessness of this government and the last government.
Yes,
people getting murdered, people getting raped, and this wouldn't have happened if these people weren't coming.
But yet another frenzied knife attack for absolutely no reason.
He danced
whatsoever.
afterwards. He danced.
How many of you are sitting at home now thinking, oh, I'll tell you what I must do on Sunday or Saturday, go to the park and start stabbing people?
She's a mother. She, I think he stabbed her multiple times, and then she fought back, and he smashed her on the back of the head and killed her. She fought back bravely. She's got a kid.
So yesterday we had...
Bescott Station.
Yesterday we had Leo Ross walking around an area that has had uncontrolled immigration from the third world. He was stabbed multiple times in a frenzied knife attack where they attacked him and other people. No reason at all for that person doing it. Then Deng Choi Majek, sentenced today, 29 years. He went on a stabbing spree against Rhiannon White. He came from Sudan, predominantly Muslim country. We don't know what his background is. He did it for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Then there's a case of Louis Gabriel Guembes, who in Stoke Park in Guildford, he was stabbed multiple times. The person who did it for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Axel Rudikabana attacked the Southport Taylor Swift team dancing. Did it for absolutely no reason whatsoever. He had an Al-Qaeda training manual. He'd made rice in, and his hero was Osama bin Laden. But he did it for absolutely no reason whatsoever. So my question to you, young Bob, is very simply this. How many ordinary British people do you know? No, let's do this even better. Can you cite one single example of an ordinary British person whose family is established in this country who has gone out on a knife rampage? Or is this just a case of migrants being let off the hook, basically launching Islamic lone wolf attacks, but by not saying Allahu Akbar, they're officially doing it for no reason?
Yeah, it's just the socially dissident which actually promote these people staying here. And it's because they have electoral benefit in making sure that they become British in order to vote for the interests of a progressive left-wing party. You're seeing this now with the Green Party. But no, it's like the...
And in Birmingham we're seeing it currently with an ex-terrorist, a former terrorist.
Yeah, with the Independent Candidate Alliance, just full of Muslims who prioritise Gaza and other foreign conflicts.
Well, Islamists, aren't they? I mean, not
of course.
Just your normal...
And this is the discussion about sectarianism and the slow replacement of our people. I mean, Keir Starmer said it, we risk being an island of strangers.
And the killing of our people as well.
Yeah, because we're just saying, right, with uncontrolled migration, we are just importing unnecessary crimes.
Yes.
And we can have a moderate discussion once we establish our country in a better place. Like, no one's going on, let's just import more criminals into our country. Because that's what we're essentially doing. If we have no form of vetting, that is what we're doing.
Well, this guy, Deng Chol Majek, the family of Rhiannon White say that there, and I don't know, and they're probably not experts, they say that there is reasonable reason to suspect now that he left Sudan because he was a murderer. So basically what we are doing, in the words of Donald Trump, is emptying the lunatic asylums of the third world.
And people on the run. People are on the run.
Emptying the prisons of the third world. Bringing over the gang members. That man did not look like a man who was unfamiliar with violence.
Yeah, and I actually, when I was visiting Crowborough last week, a taxi driver driving me there, because I don't do Uber, said to me, when we have to get checked for whether we're suitable to drive people around, we have our entire criminal records checked until we're 18. When someone who comes from from Afghanistan or another country and migrates here, they get contacted their embassy and they get checked the first 5 years of them being here. So they rely on information from the embassy, which they probably are reluctant to give any credible information about these people, and the first 5 years of them being in this country. So whenever we look towards, well, we can't just always assume and give collective punishment to the people that arrive here, but we have to do that if it's uncontrolled.
For national security, which we're allowed to break the ECHR ruling because of for national security
We
reasons.
did that with Shamima Begum.
Yeah, we have the law, and now they're going to reverse that, aren't they? But
Yeah.
I mean, like you say, if you want to work near kids, you've got to get all these checks done, whereas if you just come off a boat and we don't know who the heck you make up, you can say you're under 16, and they'll put you next to a school, they don't know who you are and what happens.
Because their documents are based on social workers. I know a lot of...
well, they throw them away, so they can say like, who were they?
Yeah, so they'll get their temporary documents by someone interviewing them and asking them about their information. Speak to any teacher that deals with a lot of migrant children. They all have beards, they look about 40, but apparently they're like 13. And I know a lot of teachers...
And the blokes are bad as well.
Yeah. When they transition from primary to secondary schools, the primary schools are very reluctant to take them in because they don't believe the documents.
45 years old by the time they get to secondary school.
Yeah, the year 7 kid all look 40. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But that is simply because if you don't have any documents and you are under the age of 16 or under the age of 18, I forget which it is, you will never be deported. There used to be a very, very small number of people, Hillingdon Council used to deal with it, of highly gifted young people from the third world who would their parents would bribe their way onto planes. Now, it's incredibly hard to get to Heathrow Airport with no passport, but it is actually possible to do it. It involves bribing immigration officers in a country, getting onto a plane without your details, all this sort of thing. A very small number of people would do that. Now, that trick... And I don't want to have a go at George Soros because, you know, he is one of many, but his people now go to the jungle in Sangat and say, just say this, don't worry, you'll never be deported. They know you're 40, but don't worry about it.
I mean, they say the law says we cannot dispute it, so what's to stop a 60-year-old going, I'm 4, and putting him in a nursery? I mean, if that's, you know, it's obviously they wouldn't, but there must be a law where they can age these people.
I don't know the difference between someone who comes here that has a strong cultural history of incest and whether they look 40 because their parents are their cousins or they've come here illegally. So it's the problem with importing these sort of people.
I think that's right. I mean, I've got to be honest with you. You've touched on something which is an awkward subject, but I saw somebody in the Elephant Castle with rickets. Now, I would suggest to you that you have not got rickets in the United Kingdom. And so what we're doing is we're going, oh, look at that valuable member of society. There's somebody who's got gout is the opposite to the people in the
yes, from living a very rich lifestyle.
Gout is the opposite. But actually,
we should bring in more people with gout.
But I was thinking, I've given this example before today of the greatest figure skater in the world, Ilya Malinin, right? Who's won everything. You know what? His mother was the Kazakh national skating champion. His dad was something like the Russian national skating champion. They were national skating coaches, and he was brought over to America. Now, I think it's reasonable for the former Soviet Union to say, you've nicked our good people. If that was Britain, we'd go, does he have a cleaner? Do you know what I mean? We wouldn't be importing the brightest and the best. We're going, oh, no, what, she's got a gold medal and he's got a silver medal and they've got a kid. No, we don't want them. Who's the person who drives the Uber for them? That's the person we want.
Used to take them.
That's what we want.
It devalues the value of being British. We're now just saying that British is some sort of term. If you come here illegally, you're defined as British. It erodes our culture, our people and our country. It's ridiculous.
It means the whole world's British if they can just come here and they become British.
What about the situation with the Middle East, where I think the British passport is being devalued. I think the visa waiver scheme is going to have to be reviewed in a lot of countries. I think the first one would be the United Arab Emirates. They've already, as you know, abolished scholarships to British universities. They've said they will not recognise British degrees on the grounds that they're concerned about their citizens from the United Arab Emirates being radicalised in Islam in the United Kingdom. But how long how long will countries like the United States of America allow British people to come in when we've got uncontrolled immigration bringing in jihadis?
I think it certainly will be accelerated by the fact they have a right-wing government, so they understand the problems that we're currently facing because they're in government looking at the problems that they had under the last administration.
Yes.
I mean, there have been leaked documents to suggest the Biden administration brought in people in order for them to potentially vote in favour of the Democrats.
That is why that's why Blair did it.
That's why Blair's done it. That's why anyone who's a globalist does not concern themselves with borders, because they understand that a borderless nation will be able to import people that believe in their ideas, and they'll assimilate into something that is indescribable to what Britain actually is.
Which will stop any sort of civil unrest, because you divide and rule, and now the population in Britain,
It's oppressed.
It's oppressed and it's all split up.
But,
you
here
wouldn't get together.
But here is the thing that strikes me. If I was a lefty, if I was a sensible old Labour lefty, which is probably what I'd be if I wasn't a Conservative, I think it's the other credible political position to hold. If you were the Prime Minister, I would be more likely to be able to advance my views than if Keir Starmer and his lot continue. Because if Keir Starmer and his lot continue, Britain will become an Islamic caliphate, right? Therefore, soft if you are a sort of Andy Burnham type Labour person, you'd definitely be better off with young Bob as Prime Minister. It's just a fact.
Well, we live in an interesting, unprecedented time in political history where people like me, I'm a 17-year-old, came out of nowhere, I have no credentials in politics, can fees up a more credible policy platform than Keir Starmer. And it's because Keir Starmer, because of the sake of his political career, has no ideas in his head.
Do you think he's told what to do by a more powerful?
No, he's too scared of anyone behind him. Like, he knows
Isn't Tony Blair operating things in the background?
Yeah, he wants to be seen as a Blairite figure, but whenever he introduces Blairite policies, he has to do a U-turn because they're extremely unpopular. Digital ID, Chego silence,
which
all of
Blair
these things.
tried.
But how do you continue the pretense? How do you continue the pretense that you are interested in human? I should say, I don't believe these people are interested in human rights. I think they're the enemy. Right? I just think use anything to try and denigrate Britain. You go over to Beijing. This Jimmy Lau character, who's a British national, is in a Chinese dungeon. And now, look, at the end of the day, you're suing the British state every 5 minutes over human rights concerns. You go over here. President Xi of China has got 2 million Muslims in concentration camps. They've got British nationals in dungeons in Hong Kong.
It's a genocide. I mean, how can
Keir Starmer even pretend to be interested in human rights now? Surely that mask has slipped.
He's intimidated. As soon as he got into power, he noticed several entities which go in opposition to his leadership. So with China, it's his imperialism. With reform, it's the newly emerging popularity of popularism. He has to capitulate ground to people that no one likes. No one likes China. No one likes a form of hardcore digital ID. And what is happening in China will happen in the United Kingdom if Keir Starmer keeps on capitulating the ground to the left and to the right because he wants to stay a man with no ideas.
But isn't he an authoritarian? So won't he actually like China? I mean, Blair wants the digital ID that China's got. They admire it. I mean,
I think the social
Starmer's
credit
an
system
authoritarian, and he wants to copy China. Obviously, he can't say that to us.
I mean, the Blairite Institute is like the video game equivalent of a villain. Like, it's
well, it's
evil.
his mate that runs the digital ID system, the second richest man in the world, and they want to put it all around the world, this digital ID system, and it will be run by AI as
If
well.
you look what Shamin Mahmood says about surveillance and policing, she wants to substitute the very broken police system with a purely ran AI-based system, which in little to no involves human elements to the police system. She wants to introduce an unprecedented amount of security cameras around the area that fixate on people that could be perceived as a criminal threat. She's a very evil woman. Like, all of these, what she's described, are Orwellian policies.
So is the ultimate aim, and I'm sure your answer to this is going to be yes, that we are in a fully surveillance society, and what happens, AI will identify that we have committed a crime, automatically adjudicate the punishment, and we will just be picked up in the street without even knowing it and just thrown in jail. I think that's the direction of travel.
They've already got it in Manchester. There's these cameras that look into your cars. If you are holding a phone, it can see. If you haven't got your belt on, and it's catching 5,000 people, I think, a week or a month, and that's just from a few cameras in Manchester, and they want they're testing it and they want to bring it all round. And this is just basically AI watches it, catches you, and then sends it to a humanoid who goes, yeah, send him a ticket.
Well, the left and right equally disagree with the system, because the left see it as a way of persecuting minorities, because allegedly there have been studies that found that disproportionately these systems target ethnic minorities because they've been trained data where per capita these groups of
They're
people
racist
commit
on
more
facial
crime.
recognition, that's been proven. Racist cameras.
It's because AI takes no nuance. If per capita a certain group of people commit more crimes, it means it's going to bake that into its system when it comes to adjudicating who is the potential criminal. But we don't work like that.
Profiling.
Yeah.
Maybe we should be doing profiling. I mean, why would you stop an old woman at an airport and say she could be a terrorist?
But why stop alternatively someone who's brown, who's doing nothing, just because statistically his group of people are more likely to commit terrorism? Profiling works in two interesting ways. We shouldn't spend relentless resources in persecuting people who disproportionately do not commit the crime, but in the same breath, because people are just individuals, they're not going to represent always the statistical majority of people that commit these crimes. So then they could just claim oppression because they're an ethnic minority.
But let's just be clear on something. I mean, I've watched the cameras. You've been picked up on a regular basis by the police for just being a protester or just being a journalist. No, I mean, I know you're laughing about it, but I think it's a really despicable situation to be in, where look. The police are there defending your right to rape somebody if you've come from Sudan. But if you put up a sign saying, go back, we don't like you here, you know, grab your pearls and get the police van.
Well, West Midlands Police, because when I was arrested in Birmingham, they gave me a squishy ball that bounced a lot in the room.
That was at the Villa Park thing?
Yeah.
Tell us what happened. No, tell you what, Asher, why don't we go to
this is our new thing. Bob's going to tell us about why he got arrested at Villa Park. It's Talk with Andre and Ash and young Bob. Back after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, this is the Late Show with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Young Bob. And Young Bob, look, I'm not trying to embarrass you when I'm talking about your various arrests. I think it's pretty despicable the way you've been treated by the police. Look, they're
targeted.
They're deliberately trying to intimidate you out of your political views. Tell us what happened at Villa Park.
Yeah, so everyone knows me, if you do, at Speaker's Corner. So I'm a very controversial and divisive figure when it comes to the Muslim community, just simply because I give fair critiques towards their religion. So I went to Villa Park filming, didn't say anything about my views on the actual game, and immediately I was presented by a man with Ahmed Yaqub literally right next to him, threatening to the officer, saying, if he stays here, I'm going to kill him. And the police officer did nothing. Then following that, a white gentleman...
Because they work for that community, the police.
Yeah, they lobby for them. And then a white gentleman who looked like the average stand-up to racism demonstrator pushed me, started saying...
Well, basically he hadn't washed since 1982.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
okay.
He pushed me, he was like, this guy's a Zionist, deal with him. So people like that are like trying to observe where the people that they can go fight credibly are. And the officer said, look, we're going to section 36 you, which means at 8 o'clock, that was the time where they sectioned me, I was not allowed within the entire Birmingham area for 24 hours. Now, I'd booked a hotel because I wanted to record the Aston Villa the day afterwards, because Aston is a 70% Muslim population and it is a very interesting area to do study in journalism at. And I said I refused that because this section is based on the precedent that I was causing alarm and distress on other people that were threatening me and physically assaulting me. So I straight up said, I'm not leaving. They subsequently arrest me, put me in the cell for the rest of the night. But I will say, and if anyone's arrested for West Midlands Police, please claim you're autistic, because I got a nice squishy ball, which actually made it out of all of the rankings I've been dealt with as the police, as someone under the age of 18. That was incredibly entertaining, because the cells there are extremely boring. You either sleep, have a pot noodle, or just contemplate your life up
You
until
even
this
get
point.
pot noodle in the jails now.
Yeah. And
What flavour? Spicy curry, chicken and mushroom?
spicy curry. And it was...
Not Bombay Bad Boy?
Nah. I will give
He was
advice.
in the cell next door.
But obviously, being under the age of 18, did they try and bring social workers in to talk
Was
to
it
you?
the regular or big one?
They have done in the past.
Bob, hold on. Was it the big one or the regular one?
The regular one.
Carry on.
So they have done that in the past, unfortunately. And when I was arrested in Epping for allegedly breaking a section that I wasn't in the area to break, they threatened to take social care workers. But it's an annoyance for them as well.
But do you not think it's like me and my arguments with the diversity people in HR at various companies? You know, if you threaten me with it, I'll go. And that's the ultimate threat. What you should do is you should get yourself into foster care just for a couple of weeks. Just see what happens.
I don't want Mohammed
Do you want to foster?
Absir.
You can foster him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't want Mohammed
By the way,
Absir.
do they give you a kettle for the pot noodle?
No, they already do it for you. It's incredibly cold.
It's a great service. You ring the buzzer and Garçon comes, opens the flap and go, pot noodle, water please, Garçon.
I'm assuming because I'm a kid, they keep more like delicate care.
Did they de-arrest you because it was really a trick to get you away? Because like you said, they were inciting the violence. They were doing the criminals.
Yeah, so they that case they immediately NFA'd me, but for the last two times I was arrested, they put me on bail conditions, ensuring it was incredibly difficult for me to do any of the work I do. You see this several times with protesters.
The procedure is the punishment.
Yeah, you're not allowed to post things on social media. You can't post things about your bail conditions, which is traditionally the way that people, fundraise lawyers, because it's an incredibly stressful time. As a 17-year-old, having to deal with 3 arrests, being ostracized from most people that don't engage in politics, being made unemployed.
You've been attacked physically by
I've been attacked.
nutters.
I've been put on the floor and kicked in the face several times. But thank goodness for
I promise not to do that.
I've seen that happen before myself.
Yeah.
There was that Hyde Park corner.
Yes.
You got hit there, didn't you?
Thank goodness the Muslims, though, are incredibly weak, because they kicked me like 3 times in the head and I didn't feel anything. If anything, I went up
Because
in
they
the
don't
air.
play football.
Yeah, and I said,
Right, can we just be clear? Can we just be clear? Let's not generalise all Muslims are violent, and let's not generalise that they can't.
Some are very good at kicking you in the head, probably.
But
You just
not the
bad
violent ones. The ones with small man syndrome that do attack people who can't handle critiques against their religion.
That's true.
Because most Muslims are liberal, which goes against the orthodox. I know a lot of people that when I used to go to college, because of course they had an issue with me doing this content, many of them just didn't care with what I did.
Do they need to speak up, the liberal Muslims, or are they scared? Because obviously they're not nutters, so they're not going to do anything, whereas the nutters will do something. That's the trouble with it,
It's a completely
isn't it?
different religion. The Orthodox sectarian Muslims will not consider the liberal Muslims at all.
Right.
But then the Muslims would say, well, these Orthodox Muslims shouldn't represent mainline Islam because it makes us look bad. But they're still part of the Muslim faith.
But they're not going to be violent. They're just normal people like us, so they're not going to get violent. Whereas the nutter,
Well, that was
the
precisely the point
extremists,
he was making.
the 5% end up ruling. That's what happens in Iraq. It's what happens.
It's like the interaction between your average Protestant and the KKK. Like, I don't think the Protestants really believe these people are Christians, and I don't think the KKK probably believe that these Protestants are Christians as well. So that's the unfortunate thing.
I think there is a slight difference there, and one of the things that we have lamented. So on this show, I think we agree with you, which is basically to say, isn't it a shame that the extremists are the ones that run the ticket? But that's not really the media. That is, in the mosques, there is an unwillingness to go, get out, you lunatic. And similarly, what I think would happen what we will find, and what will happen in Birmingham, is I'm sure, we're in the areas where it's majority Muslim, they will vote Muslim, but they will vote for the biggest extremists on the ticket, because those will be the ones that are engaged. The ordinary moderates will turn up to vote once a year, vote for the absolute nutters and go, oh, they're a bit too extreme for me, and that will end up pushing Birmingham into being an even more sectarian hellhole than it is now.
Well, Labour used this to win the Muslim vote, like during the time of Thatcher and more extreme parties like they confused, like, okay, you have the really extreme right wingers like the National Front, they want everyone gone. right? The Conservatives, they just want a moderate migration. So, but Labour, what they'll do was confuse the two entities, the right and the far right, say that the right are actually the far right, they want you gone, which means that you can not really care about the other economic and social policies that we have, but we'll keep you here, so vote for us. And that is what has been done with Labour historically, that is what's going to be done with the Greens, and that's what's already happened with your party.
Yeah.
The Independent Candidate Alliance, Ahmed Yaqub, all of these individuals initially joined your party, but noticed they weren't facilitating socially conservative values, because Muslims mostly agree with us on conservatism.
Oh, yeah,
they don't want to see wokery in their mosques and in
They're old Tories in a lot of ways, aren't they?
Yeah, but they have been taught that the Tories will always be unwelcoming towards them. Like, I spoke to several Muslims on this that were good friends of mine. They said, look, I would agree with you, but I want to stay in this country. And as soon as you make the message clear,
want to destroy the system like they do. So they're
rebellious kids.
Yeah.
And they want to, take the cool people. And when, the left have this faulty understanding that cool people are just diverse people. That they're not the average British person. So the rebellious kids, which is Zach Polanski, wants to be seen with the cool
The
kids.
Hypnotit.
Yes.
His company was Hypnotits, wasn't he? He used to make women's breasts bigger with hypnosis. Have we got to take a little breaky here? Have we? Yeah, I think we're a bit late. So look, we're with young Bob. We've heard about his pot noodle. It was chicken and mushroom flavour. It was only a small one. I bet if you just come in on a boat, you get a big one and a pizza. We'll find out more about it after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
This is The Late Show with Andre Walker, Asher Gould, and our guest co-host this evening is young Bob. He was telling us during the break that he's worried that when he gets over the age of 18, the police will start remanding him in custody. Just to be clear, what are you doing other than filming protests?
Just being myself, an annoying kid. Like, all I do is film protests, give my own commentary, and, enact the rights that I have if I'm pressed at the time. So a lot of the public order sections, which I think is just anti-human rights. So you have to tell protesters where they can protest, how they can protest, and when they can protest, which I already disagree. It shouldn't exist, and it was brought under the Tory government.
But it doesn't exist for the other side, does it?
Yeah, it doesn't exist for the other side, and it doesn't, more importantly, exist for the people who are just recording and acting in a capacity as a journalist. So the second time I got arrested, for example, was in Epping, when I wasn't even in the area of the section, and I wasn't even protesting. I was just filming the demonstration. And I was filming a gentleman getting arrested, and he was falsely arrested because they assumed he was someone who allegedly broke his bail conditions, but they arrested the wrong person. And they just randomly decided to arrest me. And I know it was intentional, because instead of saying my actual name, they said, "Young Bob, you're under arrest," which is incredibly
Have you got the free speech union? Because it's against your right to of expression, isn't it? I mean, and journalism, because they say, the police now recognise only official journalists, and that's not right, because these YouTubers are a brilliant journalists. And we saw in Minnesota the guy that exposed they're doing the best right on the ground investigative.
There's no legal infrastructure of what defines a journalist. It's just disseminating information into the press.
I think it's also important to understand that the UK Press Card Authority will not issue anything to you as a YouTuber, as a social media person. They just say you're not entitled. So the police go, can you show us your badge? And then you go, A, you're not required to have one to be a journalist, but B, you're not entitled to one anyway. That is part of a cartel that is operating.
It's gatekeepers.
It literally says on the website, though, this is not to be used to show to the police that you are a journalist. The disclaimer is literally there on the website. But yet the police, because they don't know what they're doing, most of the good officers are already going into retirement, so they don't want to get rid of their pension. So you have all of these young, bumbling officers that get told from up high, individuals who know nothing about the local area, squash this, I don't want to see protests on the street.
Do older policemen, do you get the feeling that they actually support you but they can't?
It doesn't matter if they support me. They just want... They just want to do old-fashioned policing.
Exactly.
They don't want to be the police of the protesters. And I don't want to, annoy police officers either. They're blamed individually for things that are all to do with the way that the department is run.
But the reality is, you've got a warrant card. You are part of a system that threatens people who defend women and children. You are part of a system that illegally attempts to lock people up for filming protests. You are part of a system that defends grooming gangs. Screw you that you're a good bloke individually. I don't accept it. I don't accept it. If you have a warrant card and you're going out of your way to prevent grooming gangs being smashed in this country, and instead are arresting the parents because your chief constable says you to do it, parents of the victim, I think you're a see you next Tuesday. Doesn't bother me if you go home and go, I shouldn't have done that today. I think it makes you a bad person.
Well, maybe it's just an instinct I have because I don't want them to. Because I've dealt with officers that are really difficult to deal with. The first time I was arrested, I sat next to a woman who was a transgendered individual acting like a woman. And apparently, if you can't feel like your hands while you're on cuffs, they've cuffed it too tight. And there was 2 arresting officers, one for myself and one for the transgender woman. I was filming at a pro-Palestine demonstration. She had a mask on, and the officer asked, can you remove it? She didn't comply with it. Then she started demanding for estrogen tablets. They were very accommodating to her. They even loosened her cuffs. Meanwhile, my arresting officer refused to loosen my cuffs despite the fact that I couldn't feel my hands, and was very rude when I was just trying to pass conversation, which I know is the common strategy of officers, because sometimes they can record you saying something quite damning to the case, and also sometimes they are just nice people occasionally. So yeah, I think the police officers, some of them might initially be ignorant when they're joining the force. They don't know this is happening, or at least they don't want to believe it is, because you'd be insane to believe initially that this is the state of our actual country, that we're arresting parents for the sake of their speech at a demonstration. However, just keep on dealing with these people. It just demonstrates how soulless some of them are, just for the sake of serving a department.
Do you want to get? I mean, are you going to get? Do you think you get arrested? You're going to Braintree tomorrow, aren't you? Do you think? There's a chance you'll get arrested?
I don't think so.
Get another pot noodle.
Yeah, another pot noodle. Yeah, I would recommend just sticking to the pot noodle. The rest of the food is disgusting.
The buffet's rubbish.
Yeah, and also the beds are as well, small blue mattresses, but.
Not bad.
It's I mean, have you ever considered just doing something else? I'm not saying you're doing anything wrong, but you putting yourself in the firing line. At the end of the day, you could make a lot of money if you joined what Norman Tebbit called the racism industry, which is writing reports about how racist white people are. You'll get 80 grand a year in the City of London, 100 grand a year.
Do you get an income at the moment?
Are crazy.
I'm broke.
Oh, yeah.
What was... I don't get anything, barely anything, because I'm underage. I don't actually make anything on social media. I do this for the love of it. Many people would swab the term PayPal Patriot for anyone who is big in the scene. But I just do it because I surely love doing this. I started out being an evangelist for Christianity. Then I continued filming protests, and apparently I got traction from that. And I was meeting lovely people such as yourself.
Well, you met Charlie Kirk, didn't you? Did you?
No, I never got the opportunity to. I did formally work for his organisation, and that was another massive thing for me. Because at that time, I met my now fiancée. And she showed me Charlie Kirk's book. And I said, I actually work for his organisation. So, I'm just a small, happy...
But you got kicked out. Why did you get kicked out at Turning Point?
Hope Not Hate did a nice piece on me where I gave... I was just vetting my frustrations out to people my age after a reform event that I was invited to. And one of them was filming the conversation. A lot of the times it wasn't quoted properly. And I really wish that I left on more amicable terms, but I still nonetheless have a fundamental issue with the way that Turning Point UK is being ran. It's not actually being run by the people in the US. I have strong admirations for the people in the United States. However, I just disagree with the way that Turning Point UK is ran. I still commit myself to fighting for
You're with Advance UK, aren't you, Ben Habibi? Joining up with
yeah, I recently signed up as a member for them. I think that I wish the best for reform. I wish that Matt Goodwin wins in the up-and-coming by-election. However, I think that parties like Advance UK serve as an effective pressure group for reform to keep their right-wing roots. And like Ben Habib keeps on saying, Advance UK shouldn't exist, but it has to. So I'll lobby for Advance UK. I think it stands on principled politics, but I wish the best for reform. I don't think Advance should live as a party which is in opposition to reform.
Oh yeah, Ben announced that on this show. We're not in election purder, are we, for mentioning the reform candidate?
I'd avoid mentioning.
We probably have to mention the other candidates.
Don't.
We don't know yet, do we?
We
don't actually know. It's not finished yet, I don't think.
Let's not draw attention to it. So yeah, I mean, I worry about this whole. Well, we've got to hold reform's feet to the fire, therefore we need Advance UK. Because you think, well, you shouldn't need that, really, should you?
Well, it shouldn't exist, but it has to exist.
Why?
Well, the right wins. And I actually saw, speaking on Charlie Kirk, about 6 years ago, there was an interview done between Nigel Farage and Charlie Kirk, just a few days before Boris got elected as Prime Minister, or became Prime Minister. And Charlie Kirk said, in unequivocal terms, make sure and hold Boris to account in ensuring that he does not capitulate himself to the left wing. Because the right wing is a huge dominant force, but we're so much villainized in this country that reform find itself now necessary to play at the same game of the left. They need to take the Lib Dem supporters, they need to take the old Labour supporters,
yes.
And the way they do that is through changing their policies. Now, a common right-winger might say, well, they're acting like this now, but they'll be truly right-wing and principled when they get into government. But I can't trust that with reform when it comes to the track record of importing Tory MPs.
Does it have to end, the importing of Tory MPs?
I see this argument all the time, that anyone above the age of 25 has in some way been in the Tory party, operated in that party in some way, so that doesn't tarnish someone's reputation. However, when you take in Robert Jenrick, or Ever Braverman, individuals which contributed to stuff like the Boris Wave, the Afghan resettlement scheme, I just can't trust them, or at least I can't trust the individual MPs which contribute to this mess. But
I've seen some real communists leave the Conservative Party and join Reform. I mean, Nadine Zahawi, I mean, that is just a left-winger.
Yeah, he is just a left-winger. He called for the amnesty of...
look, good friend of mine, Sir Jake Berry, he's wetter than Flipper.
Yeah, he is the type of gentleman that should be used as a textbook example of wokery, but somehow he's in the Reform Party. So I do have an issue with sometimes when we broaden what it means to be a right-winger. I'm not saying that we should gatekeep it, but we should preserve our values and not extend it to people that want to erode them.
But in order to, so let me just completely flip and go about face. In order to get into government, you do need a broad alliance. And I think there is a principal criticism of Reform is that they lack people with ministerial and government experience. And they lack people, well, they lack what I call sergeant's class. People who can be junior parliamentary assistants,
it gives them
senior
gravitas,
parliamentary assistants, and things like that. Isn't it important to take in at least some people with some government experience?
I would say that that's not what most people want. I mean, if you look at Trump's inaugural speech the first time he became president, he said that he won based on the lost people, the low propensity voters who have never voted before in their life. And what they want, and this is what Farage has been selling, business owners, people who are new to politics, they want a new approach to politics. And when they find that apparently the party of a new approach to politics is people who have imported a bunch of old Tories, and not just that Tories which have caused this problem in the first place, they get a bit uneasy, so they find themselves a new home. Like when Richard Tice, and again, I don't like to be the one who goes in opposition with Reform, I wish them the best. I want them to be the party that everyone wants them to be. But when he said, when it comes to the Unite the Kingdom rally, we don't associate themselves with them lot, a lot of people self-prescribed themselves as them lot and felt that Reform was not the party for them. And then they found themselves a new home. And I always help people that do that.
But Trump 2.0, his second term, he did actually get some heavyweights, and he was more organised on the starting blocks, wasn't he?
Yeah, because he understood that come his first administration, because he did not know who he was going to win.
But he got the sergeants in that Andre's mentioning. He brought them in, and maybe that's what Farage is doing.
I would say that I don't think Trump necessarily had to do that. That his administration, the first time around, was just full of people that didn't believe he was going to win in the first place. So surround yourself with quality people, not just people who have the certificates of being in Whitehall.
Yeah, no, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, it's...
Have we got a little break here?
Oh, sorry, go on.
No, we haven't. Carry on.
Yeah, I think it is a dangerous thing. But how do you see all this developing? We've got this protest in Braintree tomorrow. My own view is this. I think people like Starmer are going for broke. Let's see how many of them we can bring in before we're eviscerated at the next election, and see if we can change the country. I mean, if you look at it, they've got hold of the levers of power. The College of Policing is corrupt. The House of Lords is a nest of evil. The Supreme Court is making up powers left, right and centre. We've now got a situation where you've got the Equality and Human Rights Commission openly defying the law, saying we are not going to. Well, they're not saying we're not going to. They're delaying their guidance on what to do about men and women's changing rooms. So we've got basically a country that has been built to ensure that whoever wins the next election, they will have no power, and uncontrolled immigration, as it percolates through, will simply outvote the British people.
Yeah, I think they're going to cause as much division as humanly possible, because it will always benefit the politicians. Like, politics is a pyramid scheme, if you think about it. The worse of the states in the country, the worse state that this country's in, the more it is needed for politicians to come and fix it.
Yes.
So the left also benefit off mass migration, because the more the common sense people, who are the workers, the family men, come out and say, I'm against this, the more that the uneducated, rebellious left look at this and see us as a credible threat. So they start coming up in numbers. And this is what you're seeing with tactical voting. People either tactically voting for Labour or the Greens. So in some way, they benefit from it.
But if I'm a non-binary, blue-haired, 18-year-old, you know, I've got 2 girlfriends and I've behaved inappropriately with my dog, or whatever it is that these people get up to, right? Why would I want the Ayatollah Khomeini to be the principal political force in Britain?
Because they have no understanding of what, like, the plurality of ideas. It's the idea of the tolerance paradox. So we have to be intolerant of certain ideas. And they don't understand that, because they haven't looked into history and they don't know what's coming. They don't understand that there are ideas, there are cultures that are not equal to ours, that we can't be tolerant of, because if we do, we potentially threaten the sovereignty of our country. So
their idea is, if we, first of all, there's no such thing as British. There's only citizens of the world. If somebody comes from Afghanistan and they move to Birmingham, they will become tolerant of gay people within a relatively short period of time, because they're in Birmingham. Is that their general view?
Yeah.
And that freedom and tolerance is the natural state of humanity, and the only reason they don't believe that in Iraq is because of imperialism.
Also, as well, I think the left's position on migration is far more damning. I mean, they consider it under the Labour government irregular. These are irregular migrants that come here, which is far more insulting than just saying you've come here illegally. So I think that the left, being tolerant of everyone, is intolerant of people that go in opposition to them.
Is there an element of racism with all this? Because there's always this undercurrent. Now, I admit this self-hate. Oh, by the way, I got into so much trouble once. There was this guy who came on, and in my earpiece, Josh Rom, who's coming in a moment, goes, "That guy's a self-hating Jew." And all I heard was that phrase, and I went, "What's a self-hating Jew?" during the break. And the bloke
we had one in the studio with us.
The bloke was actually sat there. It was hilarious. But
and then what do you mean?
Yeah, he was going. What?
Oh, nothing.
Right. I didn't know what
never
that was.
came on again.
He never.
Thank God.
We virtually had to escort him. But I hear people say, "Well, we've wrecked their country," and you think, is the comma therefore it's their opportunity to wreck ours? Is the general view either A, that white people are automatically bad, and I've seen this original sin that all white people are automatically evil, but is the other thing that, look, we're never going to be able to implement international socialism as long as the Anglosphere is strong. So if you all come over here and destroy Britain, if you destroy Canada, if you destroy America, if you destroy Australia, then actually we can have socialism, because the sensible countries are dead.
So there's always this dilemma that we've wrecked these people's countries so they can come here. But if we fix the hole in the fence, regardless if people try to come here, they can't.
We've made their countries better in a lot. I mean, look at the railway systems, the justice systems. You know, in India, we stopped their wives jumping on fires and things like that. Anyway, young Bob,
we're giving a T-shirt because a loincloth's not fashionable.
But you're getting married soon, aren't you?
Yes.
So, right, well, mazel tov on that.
So do you have to wait for your 18th birthday to get married, or mum and dad?
No, you go to
Scotland,
Gretna Green.
Yeah.
Are your mum and dad signing, or are you going to Scotland?
I could go to Scotland, or alternatively, you have to wait because they've reformed it, because too many people are having marriages ridiculously young.
I've got a very good friend of mine who got into trouble. He was at Catholic school. He got into trouble for living with another pupil, age 16. So he married her, and the two of them went to school. And they said, "Well, it's a Catholic school. We're 16. We're married," and the school did accept that.
Yeah, because you can't live with each other without being married, which hopefully I'm able to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's young Bob going to call himself when he's 30? Says Stephen. I suppose middle-aged Bob.
Or just my real name, which is Thomas.
No, don't tell everyone. That's a secret.
Well, no, because Stand Up to Racism have already leaked my name.
Thomas.
By the way, I think that Hope Not Hate are a truly evil organisation. I think that they are not what they pretend to be. What they pretend to be is a campaign against racism. We can all sign up to that. I think actually they've deliberately attempted, as you say, to tarnish a group of fairly sensible people that they disagree with with a group of extremists who nobody really agrees with.
Also, they've become pathetic. I mean, originally, if you look at their heyday, their prime, they were paying people, getting them drunk, saying really explicit things and trying to sell lies to people to tarnish their reputation. But now look at their social media page. They're just tabloid journalists. They just talk about already established things.
They've never put me in their annual report.
They haven't done as me either.
I've been in it loads. I don't care.
Hartley Brewer's been in it.
Yeah.
Look, Patrick Christie's been in it. Rees Mogg's been in it. I write to them every year saying I want to be a far-right media extremist, or whatever it is that they call them. But because all the good people are in it, apart from me.
You need to try a bit harder.
If I am not written down this year as the right-wing Greta Thunberg, I will be so mad.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Really, absolutely. Anyway, thanks, young Bob, for coming in. Coming again. Coming next, it's Josh Rom and the BBC scandal. Back in 2 minutes.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, it's the Late Show with Andre Walker, Asher Gould. Our guest co-host for this segment is Josh Rom. He is a journalist and a knowledge on all things American politics, but also a big knowledge on the BBC. Do you know what?
Wait, here we come again.
I know,
that's what I'm going to say.
Right.
It's quotation.
We normally leave the room for 10 minutes,
Here we
don't we? We're going on a walk. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the moment when we all get depressed. Josh, what's the latest update on what the BBC's been up to?
So, when you think of the word Holocaust, what's the second word that would usually come to mind?
Yeah, well, I think it would be probably Jewish.
Yeah, Yeah, one would
I
think.
would think so.
But not at the BBC. And we're not just talking one segment. So, of course, on Holocaust Memorial Day, they rightly commemorate it and report on it and say it's Holocaust Memorial Day. Except in their links, they failed to mention the word Jew. So what they say is Holocaust Memorial Day, where we remember the 6 million people killed.
Whoa.
One, it's more than 6 million people. It's actually probably double that, and it's probably, I think
Yeah, because it wasn't just Jews.
it wasn't just
gypsies,
Jews,
gay, people who were
that's-
disabled.
No, but that's exactly why the BBC would go 6 million people, because they say, oh well, it's not just a Jewish thing. No.
Well, there was about 8-9 million people
Well,
in the camps. You know, 'cause it
exactly.
wasn't
But
all-
the fact of the matter is, this is the BBC once again proving the point that that me, you, so many people across the media say the BBC clearly. At this stage, it is so blindingly obvious that they have a problem, an institutional problem with Jews. Because when you report on Holocaust Memorial Day and you cannot even say the word Jew, then you know you have a problem.
But you've been in journalism for a while. You must have mates who are either current or former BBC. What do they tell you about what goes on internally? Because they presumably don't walk round and go, we hate all Jews and Hamas should have won the war. Presumably they don't say that. What is their excuse?
So, well, this is the thing, because I do know Jewish journalists there, and I think they're obviously scared to speak out.
I think so.
But I'm hearing a lot of things actually around the BBC from inside sources. One source has told me that morale is at an all-time low and has been for the last year.
Well, it's in the gutter. I mean, it is crap now.
No,
the
but
BBC.
even within the organisation, morale is low.
Well, yeah,
and
because
that's what I'm hearing.
It's crap to work at something that was so great during the Crown, and now it's just in the gutter, and
Exactly.
you're working for that crap. And
Yeah.
that's, you know,
And
news stations-
also everybody is constantly under threat essentially for their jobs because of constant worry for cutbacks, constant worry about declining services. But what I'm also hearing from people, and I think I need to do some looking into it, and I can't say this, but I have heard an accusation from inside the BBC, and again, I haven't gone to them for a right of reply, and I don't know, and this is pure speculation. This
Oh,
is just
come
what
on,
I've
do
heard.
it. Do it.
Let the cat out the bag.
That a lot of the coverage is being driven by BBC Arabic. And I
Right.
think there is a real problem with BBC Arabic. One source told me...
Basically, it just loves terrorism.
Is it like the Home Office? There's actually, they've got, I think, a 600-strong crew in the Home Office, you know, skewing what it's doing, letting in the wrong people.
It's not...
Is it like that at the BBC? I mean,
Not quite that. It's more of the thing. It's more of the fact that BBC Arabic, of course, has people and sources on the ground with all of these countries, and they're all saying one thing, and then that one thing, rather than people doing a bit of critical thinking, they're kind of reporting it as fact. And then obviously the BBC is seen, even in our industry, and listen, we at Talk and other news organisations criticise the BBC, but a lot of people will publish what the BBC writes as facts, because
Yes,
people
well.
still see the BBC as top-level journalism, fact-checking people.
It's Jeremy Bowen and people like that. It's not just from BBC Arabic, is it? I mean, the actual people, because like it's over Jewish, you're not really going to work there. So it actually becomes saturated in these anti-Semite, the lefties, you know, that's what's happened now. So Jeremy Bowen will say, yeah, there was 500 people killed. Oh, yeah, I was wrong, but I'm not apologising.
No, but what I'm trying to say is, and you make a fair point, and listen, Jeremy Bowen has been caught out a lot of times. For example, there was the thing at the beginning of the Gaza war about the hospital
All the time.
and the figures, and then he said, oh, it's not true, but I'm not apologising for it. Anyway, all of that stuff. But what I'm saying is, from what I'm hearing, it's more than just one journalist. This is a proper
But also-
potential institutional problem, which I need to look into.
Well,
more.
they had that investigation that they won't release into anti-Semitism at the BBC, which obviously must be bad, which is why they won't
Well, there was
release it.
the Standards and Ethics Oversight Committee effectively kind of looking into this and making recommendations, which led to the whole scandal with Trump. That was what it was, and Israel and Palestine was a part of that. But obviously Trump made a big thing of it because he personally felt slighted by the editing of the Panorama documentary, plus other things. But Trump was just one part of it. Israel-Palestine was another part of it. Then, of course, there was the whole thing. There was the the allegations around reporting on trans issues and LGBTQ issues and all of that sort of stuff.
And the BBC verified boss who lied on her CV totally, you know, the person who's in charge of verifying stuff.
Well, when you have a chancellor allegedly lying on her CV, I mean, that's just... I think that says to the country now, it's absolutely acceptable because the person effectively in the number 2 job in the entire country might have lied on her CV, so yeah, it's fine for you to lie on your CV.
Which is criminal fraud, actually, isn't it? Fraud.
There's been a long debate in the Foreign Office about something which I'm sure is true, which is British diplomats go around the world and some of them represent British interests, others of them get submerged in the country that they're in and they go, oh, what we must do is get Vietnam on the table in London. Do you see what I mean? I get the impression with the BBC that basically they sit there and they go, I've got no particularly strong affinity to Britain. Oh my God, I'm in Jordan. What I must do is I must make sure that a positive image of Jordan is portrayed on the BBC Global Network. And is that part of the problem? The way that effectively BBC journalists now are there to advocate for the community that they're in rather than report on that back to London.
I mean, I'm not sure that...
I mean, it'd be hard to prove.
It would be, of course, hard to prove, but kind of going on from your point, I think obviously now with the BBC, they obviously had the BBC UK news channel and the BBC World news channel.
Yes.
And of course, those were streamlined. So now there is a greater emphasis clearly on world news on the BBC channel now, on the BBC news channel, because that's like Sky that broadcasts all around the world on just one channel now. It's not 2 different services. So I think obviously the kind of push to see more world affairs, that is a valid point.
Because there was a fundamental unfairness. And look, I appreciate that you two are Zionists, but I think you would nonetheless agree with me on a fundamental principle. I'm sorry, Gaza was not the most important story every day for a year in Britain. It simply wasn't. There was the cost of living crisis. There was fuel poverty. There was issues with the Northern Ireland peace process. There were issues with our relationship with the EU. A counter-terrorism operation by, and no disrespect, a small country in the Middle East is not the #1 most important issue in Britain.
Well, they're totally biased, aren't they? Look at Iran.
But it wasn't even bias. It was. I'm sorry.
It's derangement syndrome. It's Israel derangement syndrome.
That's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is this: a small country in the Middle East is eradicating a terrorist problem, and I fundamentally don't care. Right now, I'm perfectly. Now, look,
2 words: British interest.
Exactly. You know what? There are plenty of counter-terrorism operations going on around the world. The fact that this one involves Jews is of no interest to me whatsoever. But that was bias in of itself.
I mean, I always think of, when it comes to it, I think of, on that point, I think of the sketch on Israeli television where they had, you might have seen it, the Greta Thunberg spoof when they're sailing to Gaza. Gaza, we see you! Oh, wait, there's a ceasefire. Well, what are we supposed to do now?
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, you're right. But again, that's because I think partly the streamlining internally of services, this kind of push for more of world affairs.
To them, Gaza was the most important issue for every person that they knew.
Well,
it wasn't for every person I knew.
Put it like this: I'm not even sure if Al Jazeera would take the Ayatollah making a speech, a propaganda speech for all intents and purposes, uninterrupted for 45 minutes. I'm not even sure Al Jazeera would do that.
No, that's right.
And yet that appeared on the BBC, on BBC television.
He'll be on Question Time. No, he's dead, isn't he?
When you come back, you're not going to be talking about Israel. So we finish off this. This is.
I didn't even think I was going to be talking about Israel.
But this is, well, you can't talk about the BBC without Israel.
No, you're right.
But the fundamental point is, right, you can go, Netanyahu's evil and so are Hamas. Yes, but one of them's a democratic country where we're going to get rid of their leadership. The other one is a leadership that is there because it's murdered people. Anyway, it drives me mad. Josh Rom is hanging around with us. Yeah, 0344 499 1000. Oh my God, we're going to talk about the level of theft from shops and indeed the level of sex crime that's going on. Oh my God, it's always Josh, you're a happy man in a depressing world.
I like to think so.
Give us a ring, 0344 1000.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, we're going to now talk about shoplifting. This is The Late Show with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Josh Rom. Let me tell you my story about shoplifting. I was in Ascot at Sainsbury's, and there was a shoplifter. I'd watched this programme about Romanian gangs nicking the same stuff. So they want like 50 things of Colgate so they can supply so they can supply wholesalers. So I knew he was going to do it. I grabbed him, stopped him from robbing the shop, and the very nice people at Sainsbury's said, you must let him go, because the problem is if the police arrive, they'll do you for assault and let him go. They'll arrest you for assault and let him go, even though he's the shoplifter.
Good food costs less when it's Sainsbury's. In fact, good food costs nothing when you shoplift. But Chuck was saying they want to lower the limit from £200 to the Tories. So how much are the Tories going to allow us to steal?
Okay, well...
100 quid's worth?
Well, what I will say is... there is
much these days,
apparently, there is a shoplifting epidemic in this country which has seen 3 thefts every minute. So that's now being reported by shops amid a growing... that's official figures. So shoplifting hit a record high of 530,643 offences that were reported to the police in a year.
So presumably that's only a small percentage.
Yeah, they don't report
Well, no, it's a 20% increase in the previous year's total
but most
of 444,000.
Most won't get reported to the police.
So the British Retail Consortium has calculated losses at £1.8 billion stolen each year, with a further 700 million spent on extra security.
Right.
And that extra security, by the sounds of what you said, Andre, is not stopping the shoplifting.
Well, let me tell you the most unbelievable story, and this is a story from Tesco. So I had a friend of mine who is who is under 25. So you know this challenge 25. If you look under 25, you have to show ID. We don't say he got a case of beer. And they said, can you give me your ID, sir? He said, I've got a photo of it on my phone. They said, they need to see it in real life. And he said, it's your policy to see physical ID. And they went, yes. He said, it's also my policy that if I steal this, you won't stop me. And they said, that is correct. No, he didn't actually.
What is going on in this country?
So if you are...
It's better value, isn't it?
If you are 15... I mean, please do not do this.
You can't buy, but you can steal, apparently.
You can't, though. Let's just remind you not steal.
Oh, my God.
But this is the ludicrous situation. And I'll tell you the reason. It's exactly what Sainsbury's said to me. And it's this. If these security attempt to hold the shoplifter, they'll make all sorts of allegations down the police station, and it'll be the security guard who's on a criminal charge.
But that's changed, hasn't it? Because you remember store detectives, they used to go and grab them. So what has changed in law that you can't go...
It's all human rights and all that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's ridiculous.
Meanwhile, this week I was at Halfords getting my car fixed, and
Halfords.
And other garages are available, of course. But one woman literally came in and said that she had her rights read out to her twice by a police officer because her headlights were broken.
Yeah.
Are we literally in a situation where people who don't realise, or maybe they do realise, that their headlights are broken are having their rights read to,
yes.
but yet shoplifters, apparently, according from what you say, Andre, are seemingly getting away with stealing crates of beer in this country?
The police are frightened of the bad people, so they're bullying the good people. They have to do something, therefore they're having a go at the good people. That's the reality of the situation. But unfortunately, it is true that if you want to shoplift tonight, you will be allowed to do it. Now, don't do it, because there might be some... I'll tell you what there might be. I'll tell you the argument against shoplifting tonight, apart from the moral argument and the religious argument
and the
against
legal
stealing.
Argument, of course.
No, there's no criminal legal argument.
Right.
You will be fine. What might happen is they might get you on CCTV and they might try and sue you through the civil courts. That is the only risk now.
But I tell you what the big risk now is.
Because shoplifting has been decriminalised.
But what they're doing now, the shops have put these facial recognition cameras in, and now the police have got this scheme where it's linked up to the police. So we've got all these facial recognition cameras in Greggs and everywhere. Greggs have got it terrible, haven't they? But, so this is all Big Brother going on everywhere, and that's thousands of cameras that is just privately owned businesses.
This is what you say. So according to one article, the surge in shoplifting follows warnings by police that they could be dragged away from tackling crimes like shoplifting and theft in order to keep the peace at migration protests this summer. Now, earlier this month, Yvette Cooper, obviously Home Secretary, announced plans for extra officers to be deployed on the streets of 500 towns in a summer blitz on shoplifting and antisocial behaviour by, quote, thugs and thieves. Stores including M&S, Morrison's Boots, Tesco, Primark and Greggs are also rolling out a new scheme where they submit CCTV, photos and personal data on all their repeat shoplifters to a database that is shared with police. But again, that's not a deterrent. That's all that is we're going to monitor you.
But let's just be clear.
That's not an actual deterrent.
Let's just be clear.
Well, they ban you from shops apparently.
Let's just be clear. If us three had, I don't know, some tie wraps, just tie wraps. You know those plastic things that you tie pipes together on.
Yeah.
You gave us those
cable ties.
Cable ties. That's right. You gave us some cable ties and sat us in, I don't know, the Tesco Elephant and Castle for a day. We'd get you 5 shoplifters, right? It's the fact that police are incapable of catching these people.
Unwilling.
And the point that I make, and I've always made this point about the bag thefts that take place on Tooley Street. Now, the fact that it's Tooley Street in London Bridge is only the fact that it's just opposite us. It happens in your towns as well. You know, there's 100,000 bag thefts a year. It's not 100,000 people doing it once, right? It's 40 people doing it shed loads of times. So they go, it's not important enough to catch one person. But you're not catching one person. Exactly. You're catching the person that does it all day.
So apparently, thefts, and on that note, actually, so apparently snatch thefts of phones and bags have hit a 20-year high of 90,000 over the year to March 2025, the second highest total on record. That's also according to the crime survey for England and Wales, which records people's personal experience of crime. And actually, it's one of those things, actually, because you think about it. I'm 31 now.
Happy birthday.
Well, my birthday was in December, but thank you. I'll accept the sentiments. And actually, you think about kind of what you have to teach children, and back in the day you teach children about PSHE and what you should do. It was always said
PSHE?
It kind of
personal health education,
all of that. But anyway, it was I went to school and I always remember the advice from the gym teacher. Always said, have a £5 note just in your pocket or under your shoe in case you get mugged, so you could just say, here's an easy £5, there you go, just walk away with it.
That's not what I do.
No, well, that's not. But now it's, when it comes to smartphones and the rise of technology, I rarely take out my phone when I'm in London now. It's always in my pocket because I'm so scared of having it stolen.
I take out my phone all the time, but nobody's mugged me yet.
Yeah, I do as well. I always walk around.
I've been mugged at knife point 3 times, and they've always got nothing. I'm not joking.
How have you dealt with that? Please, everybody, you need to listen to this trick.
So how I did it the first time I got mugged at knife point, I didn't take my headphones out and just walk past him. Always remember, a threat is a relationship, and if you've not joined the party, then you can just
rubbish mugger, though.
Just walk past.
Rubbish
mugger.
Yeah,
but then he goes, "Can you take your headphones out so I can?" Oh,
and
excuse
you're
me.
like, no. And actually, to be fair, something happened with my brother. Actually. He was outside of a club and people came up to him going, oh, can you follow my Instagram? Can you follow my Instagram? And that's the thing, they do this. So actually, if you're on the street and people ask you to follow their Instagram, walk away. Because what they will try and do is, it's obviously a setup, because people wait outside the clubs for their taxis or their cars to take them back home or whatever. So it's one of those things where if people come up to you, just...
And they're friendly-ish, and
but something feels off, which is what happened with my brother. You have to have your wits about you.
Also, the other piece of advice I'll also give you: don't follow this advice.
So why are you giving it?
Never follow his advice.
So why are you if you're saying to
tell people not to do this,
not to follow the advice.
Most homeless people, sadly, are ex-military, and if you do get into a situation, a tenner each to the tramps normally will help.
They're not tramps.
Okay, so basically, I got some guy tried to mug me once, and I gave 20 quid each to two homeless guys. One had been a Coldstream Guard, the other had been in the parachute regiment, and they fought him on my behalf.
Did an operation
I'm
for
sorry, isn't that just so sad?
It is sad.
I saw one going to bed at the station London Bridge putting his cardboard down. I mean, why are these heroes? Why are they not being put in the hotels?
Well, this is exactly the thing that Reform was saying this week before Suella Braverman announced that she was defecting, because of course they launched their Reform for Veterans event.
Oh yeah, of course.
And that's the thing. You know, these are people that give our lives.
It's 4 degrees tonight. That guy's in 4 degrees just outside this building.
These people give their lives for this country, and they serve this country, and they should be treated with respect.
We love the bad guys and hate the good guys.
Well, look at Starmer and his illegal career and what he's done with British soldiers.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, oh, goodness me. The number of sex crimes have soared as well. By the way, we started this show, Josh, I know you're running into the studio, so you may not have seen or heard it, by lamenting the pure coincidence in the past few years there have been a series of frenzied knife attacks. Why has that happened? Could it be uncontrolled?
What could it be? What's changed?
What could it be?
What could it be? I mean, the thing is, it's obvious when it comes to shoplifting, that's a direct result of the cost of living crisis.
But they banned getting knives on Amazon, so that should solve the whole situation.
Yeah, but I mean, I also think as well, when it comes to sex crimes, it's also immigration, of course, is a massive thing, but also I think the rise of extremism online with figures like Andrew Tate, I don't think that's helping at all. I think it's advocating a sort of lifestyle, and then it's easy to go from A to B, and I think there is. I don't want to blame it all on coronavirus. I don't want to sound like a certain presenter, hobby horse on another channel over in Paddington. But I genuinely think being stuck in the home for nearly 2 years without any proper human contact, whilst you have extremists like Andrew Tate effectively indoctrinating impressionable younger people online,
I'll buy that.
it is a perfect storm of conditions where after everything happened, after the government effectively released us from our self-imposed home imprisonment effectively from lockdown, I'm not surprised why these things happen.
Well,
I think
in COVID, they brought in loads of immigrants secretly. We've heard, eyewitnesses saying it. And by the way, this one in, one out policy has actually made things worse, because we're still getting all about people.
The thing is,
but we've got in 300
it's
rather
not
than
just immigration.
No, I know,
here.
but I'm just
It's
saying
not.
this whole thing's just ridiculous. Because we're
it's
actually getting more with this one in, one out. And we took in about 350 and we put out about 200. I mean, that's just 1 day's worth. And that we're still getting the boats in. So this is actually on top of. So it's just added to the mess.
Yeah, of course it's added to the mess. I mean, the whole thing is a mess.
And they can bring 20 relatives over as well.
Can we turn this country round?
I hope so.
I mean, how positive or negative are you?
I will say this. I know a lot of our listeners and viewers are probably going to hate me for what I'm about to say. Because people will go, oh, you're moaning about your generation, You know, for the last 20 years, and this goes back to, and I'm sure I've spoken about it on the show before, Gordon Brown selling off the gold stocks and effectively going, oh, I've eliminated boom and bust. Because the whole thing is when you're in the economic cycle, boom and bust, you save in the boom to spend in the bust.
Yes.
He spent loads
in
the boom.
the perpetual boom.
But he believed in the perpetual boom, and that just didn't happen. And unfortunately, from then on, my generation, so again, I'm 31, for the last 20 years in this country, because after that, we then had the Tory austerity, which I can see was needed.
Yeah.
And then after Tory austerity, there was the instability over Brexit. And regardless of how you view yourself, whether you're a Remainer or whether you're a voter, there was economic instability because of Brexit.
Correct.
And then because the markets weren't sure effectively what was happening at any given time. So there was instability, so people did not want to necessarily invest in our country. And then there was COVID, which obviously caused a massive recession after recession, and then the government had to spend money to effectively keep the country afloat during that time. and then obviously after this we've had a cost of living crisis. So
well, you guys, like people in your generation, can't afford properties. They've got a stake in society.
Exactly
so
that. So for the last 20 years, this country has been in an economic doom cycle where the amount of economic growth has been so minimal. So I know,
unless it's in property, which has got more out of reach.
So what I know from my generation is, I feel the conditions in this country currently are economically stifling.
Yeah,
and I know that I don't want to say
tax since the war.
I don't want to say I resent the older generation. Because every generation goes through their own problems. Every generation has their own struggles. But you have to admit, in the 1980s, it was far easier to procure a mortgage and afford a house.
The system
in
is
the
against
80s.
you.
The system is against
700,000
me.
graduates are on the dole now.
And there's graduates who also have to pay off student debt. And then, of course, when people of my generation, you know, it's so hard for us to get on that property ladder, and that's thing, like,
and you can't see light at the end of the tunnel either.
No,
it's not going to come.
And this is the thing, because I'm looking
That's why they're leaving. People are leaving.
And then everything that we do earn now is getting taxed from us. So every single bit of money that we try to earn is getting effectively, and save up for a rainy day, is effectively getting taken away from us, because Labour say, well, you all have to do your share, effectively paying for people for an increase in welfare spending.
So what you're being told is, hey, you know what? We need to increase your taxes because there's an Afghan family that need a house, the house that you might have bought previously, and you will literally stand there figuratively, well, maybe even literally, out in the cold as somebody from God knows whereistan gets moved into the house that you wanted.
Well, it might not just be that. It might also be
family.
It might be families who are, let's just say, on the larger side, and it could be British families as well, going, well, we will struggle to make ends meet working a job and commuting into work. Oh, but we can get more money than that on benefits.
Yeah.
You can see exactly where the situation of where this comes from.
We got to take a little break, but the top 1% taxpayers pay 30% of the tax. There was a guy, I think he started Revolut Bank. He's now left, so we lose $2 billion of his capital gains tax that he paid, which is 450,000 average taxpayers. So a whole town,
but then
quite a big town, has been lost the tax because this one guy, and that's replicated across all the, and industries can't afford electricity because of net zero. So this country's just losing
and the whole thing is as well, because when, of course, people increase national insurance on people and they say, oh, well, we're not paying for the working people. Well, what happens with corporations that employ thousands upon thousands of people? They're obviously just going to think about their profits. That is fact.
And you'll actually give Indians the job. You won't have to pay national insurance from India.
No, but the whole point is when you increase national insurance, the companies are then going to lay people off. They're going to go for restructuring. Therefore, employment is going to increase and people become worse off. So actually,
and
even
less
if you and that's the thing, because even if you increase tax because of fiscal drag, you might not get that.
By the way, can I change the tone just very quickly? I've got a new business for the three of us to set up together. Right,
should we save it for after the break?
Looking forward to this.
Okay.
Let's see, we're going to hear about Andre's business ideas. It's Talk
The
with
Apprentice.
Josh
Talk
Rom's here.
Apprentice.
He's on
You're
fire.
fired.
It's me and Andre on Talk.
Hold on. Are you all right, Derek?
Oh, Derek. Oh, Derek. You're all right. They get a Heimlich manoeuvre.
Yeah. We're going to go to a break and we're going to perform some CPR on Alex.
All right, it's Andre and Ash on tour. We've got Josh Rom, and we're going to get his business idea. But before we do that, Grumpy Old Men, the latest episode is out tomorrow. Now, Jeremy Kyle, he's gone on holiday, so we had a special guest. We had, Alex was in, and she unfortunately started coughing or choking, and I had to step in with my biology A-level and medical knowledge. And, well, let's have a look. Run the VT. Let's see a little taste of what happened.
Hold on. Are you all right, Derek?
Oh, Derek. Oh, Derek. You're all right. They get a Heimlich manoeuvre.
Yeah. We're going to go to a break and we're going to perform some CPR on Alex.
And that's how you do it. And she was fine afterwards, nearly.
Right.
Yeah. In the morning on YouTube, Grumpy Old Men, make sure you tune in. Now, what's the big idea?
Right, my business idea is this. Do you remember that great website? There used to be two where it's Kim Jong-un looks at things and local councils looking angry next to potholes. Surely the past few days, Keir Starmer looks at Chinese stuff. You could just have a website filled with looking at a paper butterfly, looking at a bridge. He's just stood there looking at stuff.
That's all he can do.
It's just like there's some Chinese fella going, look over there. That's a blue piece of paper, and he's going, oh, that's a blue piece
never
of
seen
paper.
that.
And then he's going, here is a bridge. It's supposed to be the Great Wall of China. We built it in 1986. It's all fake.
He hates culture, doesn't he? He doesn't like books, art, or anything. He's like automata.
And then they had that big yellow flower thing that was made out of paper, and he's just sort of stood there going, big yellow flower. Like, it's just, that would be great, because it's so awkward and so ludicrous. But I want to ask both of you, and this is a serious comment. I think that what Keir Starmer has done vis-a-vis China is a dereliction of duty. You know that we've made jokes on this show multiple times about Jonathan Powell being a Chinese spy, and the reason we make that joke, we're not being serious, well, for now, is because the decisions that are being made by His Majesty's government vis-a-vis China are either abject stupidity or the work of a deliberate Chinese agent, and we are hoping that they are probably deliberate rather. But it's a dereliction of duty, isn't it? The performance towards China.
Isn't it treason? I mean, that embassy, what they're doing.
I genuinely, I don't want to say I don't get it, because I kind of do. After all the kind of vilification of China throughout the years, and again, like, probably some of it is very much valid.
Yes.
And I'm not being a Chinese apologist, but Sir Keir Starmer, I think there's a kind of narrative at the moment of, well, our oldest ally that we have the special relationship in terms of the United States, we can't quite trust them in the same way at the moment.
Yep.
So where do we go from there? Oh, we're just going to turn to their biggest economic competitor, China. Oh, yeah, we'll give you an embassy that's even bigger than theirs. Oh, yeah, and you've got Sir Keir Starmer effectively flying over there to suck up to Xi Jinping.
And don't worry about the human rights. You know, we're sterilising the Uyghurs in the concentration. Starmer's all for that. Don't worry about that.
What amazes me, first of all, I'll just make this comment, but then I'm going to ask you a question. Look, let's be clear. When people are talking about a genocide, there is a genocide in Uyghurstan. Forget all this stuff that they're talking about in the Middle East. This man's behaviour towards the Muslims of Uyghurstan is unbelievable, and it's all because he wants an oil pipeline through there. But my question is this. Is this a really successful visit for Keir Starmer, or is it really embarrassing? Because I'm watching all of it and thinking 6 parliamentarians are allowed to visit China, visa-free entry, Scotch whisky duty halved, and that's happening on Monday. And then even the photos just felt like
he didn't meet him at the airport. He was met by the British ambassador.
Do you remember?
But that is quite.
Well, the president would normally meet. He'd meet Trump, wouldn't he?
No, usually you'd be met by an official and an ambassador who would then take you.
He would have met Trump.
Trump's head of state.
Head of state.
Okay, But do you not feel like, and I'm sorry to make a reference that's a bit old for you, Josh, but do you remember David Owen and David Steele on Spitting Image in the 80s?
Absolutely.
Where one of, what was it? David Steele was really little. It just feels like a pathetic little boy doing his best. You know,
and it looked like that because he was about a foot taller.
Like it looks like you know, in the playground where there's like the head of the bullies, and then there's one sneering kid who laughs at his jokes. It felt like that was Keir Starmer, or am I wrong?
Keir Starmer needs a win right now, wherever he can get it.
Okay.
And for whatever reason, Europe, apart from Italy, apart from Meloni, has made it very clear they do not trust America, specifically Donald Trump and his administration. They think he is going very, very rogue at the moment for whatever reason.
To
be fair, there are plenty of reasons. And actually, to be fair, what Donald Trump did say about what Donald Trump said about our veterans was also quite appalling.
He's stirring up the pot.
He is a little unpredictable.
A little unpredictable, but also at the same time, if Donald Trump says he's going to do something, he says he's going to do it, and effectively...
No, he might not. I mean, what about Iran, where he said, carry on, and we're coming on our way?
Because you're not seeing... Iran, you're looking at it from a short perspective.
I know, but don't tell him to carry on and get killed.
No, but
hold on a bit, we're coming.
No, it's a long-term... Trump with Iran is playing the long game.
Yeah, but he didn't say that. He goes, carry on protesting.
And help is still on the way, because they're building and mobilising forces out there.
They thought he meant next week, and they've all been murdered since then. Well, a lot of them, thousands of them have,
but the point is there is instability in that region. It's unpredictable, and also what Trump does know is there are two nations effectively that can cause regime change, and one of them is not the United States of America. Yes, he can weaken them with sanctions. Yes, he can go in and use force. And if he kills one Ayatollah, there'll be another one and another one and another one.
Yeah, but he'll encourage the people to take over.
And unfortunately, the IRGC is too well funded that they're not going to abandon their posts. This is the whole thing. The reason why Assad effectively left was because Assad did not have the money to pay his own soldiers, so the soldiers effectively then defected to the other side where they're getting paid. The IRGC still get paid. The people, the servicemen from them get paid. Iran still has money, Iran has oil, Iran still has some natural resources, and they're hiding their money in banks around the world, mostly in the UAE.
I know this sounds like a stupid comment, and maybe you can articulate it better than me, but a friend of mine said to me the other day, why is it harder with Iran than somewhere like Venezuela? And my honest answer is because Iran's a serious country. You know, Venezuela now has got nothing. It's on its backside. It's lost 80% of its economy. You know, it's not pumping oil. It's got no friends in the region, whatever. Iran, if there is an attack on Iran from the US Navy, Iran will fight back. They'll use fast boats and drones. They'll be able to move their missile systems. They'll fire and forget.
They also have weapons. They also have rockets.
But the thing that you're missing is they've got 60,000 cruise missiles directed at Israel, so they'll attack Israel. And I think America are getting all their ducks in a row because they've got when they do a military operation, it's got to be concise and take over in one go, along with Israel and Britain.
Going back to my original point, the original point was does America actually have? I don't want to say the weapons, but can America exact regime change in Iran? And the answer to that is no.
Yes.
The two countries that can are Russia and China, who are bankrolling Iran and are bankrolling their regime.
They did it in Iraq. They did regime change in Iraq quite easily.
Okay, but that was because they had... But also, bearing in mind with Iraq... Okay, but when it comes to Iraq, one, they had multiple countries getting involved in that war. They had the French, they had the Israelis, they had us, the Brits, and it was
Israel and us for this as well. But we're already there in Israel, obviously.
Well, do you really imagine Keir Starmer getting involved in a war in Iran? No. Do you imagine Emmanuel Macron getting involved in a war in Iran?
They already are getting involved. They are getting involved.
It's not to the certain extent of Iraq.
Well, we haven't got an army like that anymore.
It's not inconceivable. It's not inconceivable that, and I appreciate that there will have to be a lot of planning and a lot of infrastructure being put in place, but a half-baked American attack on Iran, A, may not work, and B, may see an aircraft carrier carrier disabled.
Exactly, and
that is not inconceivable.
They've got to finish it. They've got to make sure they can do the
That is
job.
not inconceivable at all. I mean, yes, the
not sunk, I should say, but disabled.
No, but disabled, and again, you don't want to risk losing resources. Like that's what
An
happened.
ineffective strike on Iran's a disaster.
What happened with Maduro,
exactly.
and the reason why Trump could sell it is not just because of the Venezuelan people, the Venezuelan diaspora, and the fact that they are such effectively a failing nation, is because he said every single serviceman came back to this country, no single lives were lost. And you don't know whether that's going to be the case in the Middle East. With an operation like Maduro with Venezuela, they didn't necessarily have the resources to properly fight back. As you said, Iran does.
And Iran will hit Qatar, they will hit Saudi, and they will hit Israel.
Exactly.
Straight away, day one, immediately.
And also US and UK bases as well within the Middle East. That's what they're going to go for first. It's not, they'll go for Israel probably second, but they will go directly for the US bases in the Middle East, in Afghanistan and Syria. Oh yeah,
they will hit them.
They will cause big damage. Okay, America is, as a country, yes, they're protected on their own island, and they've got the Atlantic and oceans on the Pacific. They've got the Atlantic on one side, the Pacific Ocean on the other side. So as a country, they're effective, protected. But Trump is also thinking about their interests abroad, their bases abroad, putting servicemen in danger, and also at the same time, I don't want to say he's a pacifist. No. But it does...
He's a non-interventionist.
But he doesn't want wars. That's the thing about Trump is... He has the mantra, peace through strength, and that is his mantra, and he knows America has a lot of might, and he's not afraid to show off America's might, whereas other presidents have always been afraid to show it. Trump, he's like a bulldozer. He will go on in, he will show it, and he will say, we will take you out. And actually...
I'll tell you,
the thing is with Maduro was effectively a very clever geopolitical move going, this is what we can do, so you all need to watch out effectively. Maduro was the warning to the rest of the world that they're not afraid. However, Trump is weighing up the risks, and unfortunately, there is a significant risk that any sort of military intervention in Iran might not actually work because they have the money from China and from Russia, who are still bankrolling, and they still have the weapons to fight back.
You would disable a carrier strike group without too much difficulty. The Persian Gulf is comparatively shallow. You are hitting a mountainous region of Iran. They can hide their missiles. They can fire and forget, which means that you shoot a cruise missile, move the platform away so they can't be hit
and
back.
Also, they will just pummel more money into their proxy. So they'll order the Houthis going, right, there's the Suez Canal. Go get them, guys!
Right, Josh, and that actually, when they blew up that mountain, they sent a bunker buster bomb, the mother of all bombs, down into the mountain, and then in the same exact tube that missile, they fired another one.
That's amazing.
Anyway, Josh, thank you for coming in. That was brilliant. We'll have you again soon.
Can't wait.
But it's breaky time, and then it's all about your calls. It's the call zone. We got Georgina, Cindy, Paul, Robert, Anne, Graham, Josh, and you too. You can also WhatsApp us on it. It's Talk with Andre Nash.
Hold on. Are you all right, Derek?
Oh, Derek. You're all right. They get a Heimlich manoeuvre.
Yeah. We're going to go to a break and we're going to perform some CPR on Alex.
Yes, it's the Late Show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould. 03444991000 is the number to call. That's what Georgina did, and she's through now.
Hello, Ash. Hello, Andre. I was listening to what you were saying earlier about the way the sexual attacks in Britain have increased. Now, when I was a young woman back in the day, we hardly ever heard about stabbings or rapes, or it was something that well, it happened, obviously, but not as often as it is now. It's nearly on a daily basis, and when you...
I think it is on a daily basis.
Well, it is. It is. You know, and it's always the usual suspects.
Well, not always, obviously not always, but yeah, it's definitely gone up by many times in the last, decade or so, and we all know why.
Well, exactly, because of illegal immigration. You can't bring men...
And legal immigration.
Well, that as well. You know, you can't bring these people into our country who have no respect or regard for children or women, and they can't control themselves. This is just putting us in danger.
In other countries it is legal, and we have to allow them to.
98% of women in Egypt have been groped on the street.
Well, you know what, Andre? It's absolutely disgusting. It's a well-known fact now that these men are more prone to be stabby and rapey. And honestly, it's not safe. I've got a daughter. I mean, my daughter's going on 40, but I've got a daughter, and I'm very worried about her well-being.
Let me just be clear. I mean, I feel a bit sorry for normal, sensible Muslims, because let's be clear, it's not Islam that's the problem, and some people get upset about that. It's not the Saudis doing it, because the Saudis don't send their lowest and their worst. What happens is, I mean, this Sudanese guy, Majet, or whatever his name was, who attacked Rihanna White, he was probably oofed out of a lunatic asylum in Sudan for us to take on. Trump is right. They're emptying the prisons. They're emptying the lunatic asylums. They're emptying, people with no skills, no contribution whatsoever. Now, let me tell you, people from Sudan who actually do have skills can come to Britain via legal methods, but that's not what these people are doing.
I think they have a slave market in Sudan, don't they? They still have a slave market.
You're not allowed to admit that slavery still exists.
Yeah.
Not allowed to.
More than ever has before.
Britain has now become the toilet of the Western world for these immigrants that are coming and going.
Literally. I mean, some of them do actually on the streets use it as a toilet.
I've actually witnessed that myself.
Yes.
I was listening about what Sadiq Khan was saying about these little girls who he's not acknowledging these rape gangs and goodness knows what, and saying diversity is our strength. Well, I'm really sorry, but when you actually are walking down a street in London and someone drops their trousers and defecates on the pavement, that is not cultural diversity.
Diversity is our weakness. Is actually
but actually, the Sadiq Khan view is that every cultural practice in the world will enrich Britain if it comes here. Whatever way you look at it, machete culture is a cultural enrichment. We didn't have it before, we do have it now. Grooming gangs and rape of children, that is cultural enrichment in the sense that we didn't have it before and we have it now. All of these people who randomly go out stabbing, I mean, I don't mean to, there's that joke on South Park, let's not jump to conclusions, it's the migrants. Do you know what I mean? We go, let's not jump to conclusions about who did this. Oh, come on.
Bigots.
Oh, here we go.
It's heartbreaking to see, because Britain is now the cesspit of the Western world. People won't even come here to holiday anymore because they say it's more dangerous than these countries that, you wouldn't go to, that you advise not to go to.
Well, do you know what? I've got a friend, and one of his mates is from the United Arab Emirates, and he decided to study at Bradford University before these new rules came in. And can I tell you what he did? He went to his halls of residence in Bradford. Now, this guy is an Asian living in the Middle East. and went, I'm not living in this dump hole, and moved instead to Leeds, and now commutes from Leeds. Now, can you imagine an Asian person coming from the United Arab Emirates saying, I'm not going to Bradford, there's far too many foreigners there? I mean, that's just extraordinary.
Well, you walk down any London high street now, and honestly, you would think that you were in Bangladesh or some other.
I'll tell you what was extraordinary. And it shows the way that we live in parallel societies. Because I was watching the Take That documentary on Netflix, and when you watch the concerts, even from 2 or 3 years ago, every single person in the audience is white, all of them. Now, remember, the tickets are openly for sale, but the reason why you see that it's all whites to Take That concert is because that's not part of the lived experience of people who are from Asia, as an example. Similarly, I remember my little nephew was going to a rugby competition in Warrington, and every kid was white apart from one black kid. And the reason is because, you know, rugby is not part of the traditions of this new population that's moved in. They don't go to rugby competitions.
It's like a Bhangra concert, you know, you won't see a lot of white people
exactly
there, you
right.
know, there's black cultural things
and
as
what's happening is parallel societies are opening up. You know, black people are a bad example. I'll tell you why, because a lot of black people are from the Caribbean and culturally are incredibly similar to us. But when you talk about people from, say, Pakistan, they don't understand. They're not part of our society. They might be physically located in our country, but not part of our society.
But I mean, in the old days, there were more. I mean, ska music was black and white people together, and a lot of Asian people. When it all changed, everyone's gone into their own sort of groups. It's this, you know. It's
by the way, Georgina, I think you might have accidentally misspoke when you said that most migrants are stabby or rapey. I know what you meant was. What you meant was there's a lot of people that have come over to this country who've done that, but obviously the majority of migrants have not committed crime.
Yeah. I thought. Well, yes, I did misspeak, and apologies.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. That's what we're here to fix.
You know, I am very concerned. I put the television on every day. I watch the majority talk all day. I watch because it's the only time I ever get truth off news.
Well, I'll tell you what, you should also go on my YouTube channel. You just search Andre Walker.
Darling, I'm already on it. And your programme is amazing, and I love watching it. I think that you bring up a lot of...
We're eye candy, aren't we? We're eye candy.
Well, it's no, it's you don't talk rubbish. You don't talk rubbish, and I won't stand for rubbish. I like straight talk only. I like people who'll give it, you know, straight from the hip. I don't like waffle, and that's why I don't watch mainstream media, because that's all.
Piers Morgan's just got a new hip, so he'll be shooting really fresh shots from it.
Well, he can crack on. And also, if I may just say about this cultural sort of dynamic that we're changing into. I mean, I am a white British woman. I'm married to a white British man, and all my children are white British. No, not racist at all. I know a lot of interracial couples who are
What's wrong with someone who isn't white then?
No, there's nothing wrong with someone
why didn't you marry
who
one?
Isn't white.
It's all coming out now. You married
a white man. I have, and I'm very happy that I married a white man. You know, that's my.
You're happy that you married a white man.
But if you
are your kids white as well?
Well, sure.
Yes.
But here is the thing. Look, the people that are going to get on a small boat are not the brightest and best of a country. Why is it that we don't have any problems from the United Arab Emirates? Because it's the brightest and best that come from there. Why do we have no problems with Saudi Arabia? Because it's the brightest and best that come over. Why do we have problems with Pakistan? It's not because every Pakistani is a bad person. That is ludicrous. It's because you get in the dross. Now, I will say one thing. There have been multiple waves of Pakistanis. So there are lots of people who might drive your Uber or whatever who are quite nice. But the people jumping on the boats, you don't jump on the boat if you're a brain surgeon. You don't jump on the boat if you're an AI technician. You don't jump on the boat if you're an international lawyer. You jump on the boat if you're an unemployed, uneducated, penniless loser.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what we're getting. And this is why I said, it's not working. The government know it's not working. The Prime Minister knows it's not working, as does Sadiq Khan. So why do they keep letting these people come over here, doing what they want, living? I mean, we've got subcultures now in
parallel societies, yeah.
Absolutely, living in their own little domains. They don't even speak English.
Well, that's been going on for years, though. It's now people are noticing it.
It's worse now.
Well, of course it is. We like the frog in the boiling water.
What about this one? Let's have a little bit of a look at what was being advertised today on Indeed. You know, the job website. So, So what I do is I have public speaking as an alert that comes through every day. Never get any work off it. But anyhow, let me now just find freelance interpreter. Now, could you apply for this job? Right. Now, I challenge you. I think I'm a pretty intelligent, educated person, right? I challenge you to know what some of these languages are. Anyway, there's a job being advertised on Indeed, right, for the Lake District. This is for the Lake District.
Yeah, I can't understand them either.
Cumbria. Okay, the role as a freelance language interpreter, you would be providing face-to-face interpretation services to a wide range of clients in the NHS and social services to speakers who are residents in Britain but can't speak the lingo. So here are the languages that they're looking for in the Lake District. They are looking for the following languages. Let me find this. Where is it? This is the Lake District.
Right.
Somali, Arabic. Sorry, wait a second. Somali, Arabic. Right, I'm sorry, Oromo. Right, what is it? Oromo?
It's a coffee machine.
Oromo apparently is a popular dialect in Ethiopia. Oromo. Right, Dari. What is Dari? Where's Dari from? Also, Tigirinya or something. Don't even know where that is. I mean, they are from crap countries. Let's be honest. No, I'm sorry. I don't care what. I don't care if people are offended there.
Where's Tigirina?
Vietnamese, Pashto, and Bengali. So if after the break we will tell you where Tigirinya is from.
Yeah,
but
good
I
idea,
mean.
yeah.
I've not even heard of some of these languages, and that's not London, that's not Birmingham, that is the Lake District.
Anyway, Georgina, we've got to go. We've got to take a little break here, but after the break, we'll tell you where Tigringa is. Back after this.
the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Tigrinya
So
is mainly
Tigrinya?
spoken in Eritrea and northern Ethiopia, especially in the Tigray region. You may find smaller Tigrinya-speaking communities in neighbouring Sudan and in their new diasporas in Europe. It doesn't say including the Lake District.
Ulverston.
The Lake District.
Right, let's go.
Barrow-in-Furness.
Paul,
Jesus.
Leicester Paul.
Hello, evening. Good evening, chaps.
All right,
evening. A couple of observations this week and a bit of feedback. Obviously, the Rihanna White's sentencing today
Yeah.
Yes.
in Warsaw, and you see it was powerful, and you see things, CCTV, the footage, the drugging out and all that. But even if you take away who was outside, Tom Robinson and all that, see if you take away that, one long word was so powerful in the testimony today, and that word is unwarranted.
Yeah.
You know,
It was a pointless attack. He danced afterwards as well. He's not dancing now. He's got 29 years in
Oh
prison.
no, he'll be setting up.
Oh, yeah,
he'll be
all right.
joining the jihadi gang in prison,
He'll be
won't
having
he?
his pot noodle.
unwarranted. It's like you say to anybody, "As strangers alongside your own." Would you?
But Paul, if a Labour person was sat here and they were to be honest, not old Labour, the new Labour awful people, they'd say that is a price worth paying for diversity. That's what they actually believe.
I heard one Labour minister saying, we're a very resilient people. Yeah, you're not resilient when you get stabbed or raped.
Oh,
idiot.
by the way, just to be clear on one thing about resilience. Look, when I worked in the Palace of Westminster, I literally have walked the battlements of that building. I've been up on the roof and everything. The level of security was not the level it is today. What they've done is they've moved the border from Dover to Downing Street. So all of these politicians, all of these government ministers, they stand behind all the security. Oh, they've let people run riots, but you won't get into the Palace of Westminster with a machete. You can get into the UK, no problem, because it's only going to be the ordinary people, the working class people who get hurt. But, you know, Downing Street got its big gates and all that sort of thing. They're fine. They've moved the border from Dover to Downing Street.
Exactly, yeah. You'll see it as collateral damage.
Exactly right.
Collateral damage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And just moving on to that, obviously.
And by the way, she had a kid, and that kid will now not have his mother for the rest of his life. There will be pain in that family for the rest of their life.
And I will say one other thing about them. Whatever way you look at it, the pink ladies were there, the raise the flag people, Tommy Robinson was there. Now, look, I don't know whether these people are your flavour or not, but I will tell you, that family... They would not broadcast what that family said outside the courtroom, because what they said was this man should not have been in the country, and the problem here is uncontrolled immigration.
It's blood on their hands.
They wouldn't broadcast it.
No. Exactly. You look at other things like the Nottingham schizophrenic. But at least we had an idea. There's less to learn from that, but at least we had an idea. We could see name, etc., and all that. There's some papers there. You know, it's like, but this is down the level or up, wherever you want to see it. Nothing at all. And it's just, you know. But going on to Mr. Starmer going to China, Mr. Morality, zero.
By the way, just to repeat the question, Paul, that I gave to Josh Rom earlier, do you think that this is a really big thing, great thing for Keir Starmer, or do you think he looks like a fool?
Well, Mr. Rules, Mr. You know, human rights, shaking hands with Mr. No human rights.
That's right. They're not going to arrest any parliamentarians if they go to China.
He's over there. He's over there trying to find out how you cancel elections, getting advice off Uncle Xi.
I mean, I'm sure IDS and that are great. He can like back in China, but it's like that seems to be. Oh yeah, that's okay, but it's like. You know, he's looking after his own again. Yeah. You know, he's like, I know they'll be thinking IDS he will care less or that, but it's like it's, but you know.
But if Keir Starmer said, I've dedicated my entire life to human rights, I am not going to meet with any world leader who's got any political prisoners, right, you'd go, yeah, all right, I buy that, you know, it's a bit of a purist position. But he's literally gone to the bloke, right, there is only one territory on earth where the United Kingdom is required to defend its democracy, even though it's not part of the United Kingdom. And that place is Hong Kong, right? So the only country, the only place where we are required to guarantee democracy is Hong Kong. The only country violating an agreement with Britain to maintain democracy is President Xi, and he's shaking hands with him. Literally the only country on earth that is violating an agreement with Britain over democracy. The only country on earth.
Well, the thing is, the people who say, oh, you have to, unfortunately, in politics, you have to do deals with people who haven't been good records and all that. But however, but not every Prime Minister is a left-wing human rights lawyer.
That's right.
It's not a good deal, though. He's just sucking up to... He's not good at doing deals.
But it'd be like Asher. It'd be like Asher sitting in this seat that he's been in with James Whale, now with me, and then becoming British Prime Minister and going, oh, you know, we're not worried about Israeli hostages and anti-Semitism, and going shaking hands with the head of Hamas, saying, well, you're nice to 6 British parliamentarians, but I don't care about you. And you'd say, well, what a bloody hypocrite! Why are we? But he has literally gone to the one person who's the worst.
National interest. No, it's in first. Labour Party second.
Yes.
National interest. What? Back 385th.
Well, he's against the nation, isn't he? He's not even bothering with the national interest.
National interest. What does that?
He doesn't believe in it.
What does that actually mean? You know,
it's just words that he can say and then just...
I kind of know it, but it's like an oxymoron. National interest.
Well, he is a moron, that's for sure. Anyway, look, thanks, Paul. We've got to go to the news. We've got the news, and then it's all about your calls. Cindy, Ken, Robert, and Graham, and Josh will be with you on talk. But give us a call, 03444991000. You can WhatsApp messages if you're scared. We'll be back after the news.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Right, this is the Late Show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould. Fat Al's Pizzas from St Helens have been in touch with us, and they'll say that they will give a free pizza to anybody who phones up their shop and can say in Tigringia dialect, "I've got a popped dinghy." Right, now the challenge has been laid down to any of you northern Ethiopian or Eritrean listeners who are Tigringia speakers. If you can say "I've got a pop dinghy," then in that language, then you get a free pizza from Fat Al's Pizzas in St.
They probably get it delivered to their hotel
Which,
anyway.
by the way, I think Alex shut down Fat Al's Pizzas about 3 years ago, so I think he might be lying to me. I think that might be fake news. Who do you want to go to
Let's
next?
go Hertfordshire, Bob. Robert.
Oh, hi, guys. Well, I just want to commend
Are you on hands-free, Robert?
Yeah, I am.
Can you use your hand? Can you use your hand, please?
Yeah, sure, hang on.
We just
Is that better?
No.
No.
It's worse, actually. Have you pressed the right button? We'll just carry on then. We'll deal with it.
Oh, hang on. See if I'm...
Yeah, see, press the button. 0344 499 1000. Please go on. Don't go on hands-free when you come on air. You know, press the button, and know where it is. I mean, Robert's there fumbling his fingers. Voice note 0344 499 1000. Sorry, Robert.
I'm 73 years of age.
Happy birthday. You're still on hands-free, but it doesn't matter.
Look, sorry, Asher. That's how you say it. In Tigrinya.
I don't know what
that just looks like squiggles.
You're not phonetic. Anyway, sorry, Bob.
Do you want me to phone back?
No, just carry on. We'll deal with it. Don't worry.
Well, I was just about to give you and Andre the greatest commendation. I'll tell you what. I speak to a lot of presenters on there, been on a lot of shows, but nobody has got more balls than a pair of you. I'll tell you for what. You've got more balls than a thing with a lot of balls. And I'll tell you what it was. You broke a story last week. It was about the Walk with Jesus march that had been cancelled in Whitechapel.
Yeah.
It was on the Friday. I wanted to discuss it. I couldn't get back on. I phoned up. I'm not going to say the names of the shows on Talk. I only got as far as a producer. Once I said, when I ask you what you want to talk about, that's why I like your show. You don't have to tell them what you want to talk about.
Well, our people don't really understand much anyway.
No, don't. Right, this is a raw nerve, because in the past, when James Whale was alive, the producers used to vet all the calls.
Yeah,
now they don't. Asher's been moaning about it.
It's better to not vet the calls, because then they take out the drunks.
You liar!
No, I like it. I like the ones that are no good. They're the fun
Such a
ones,
liar.
like Bob. Anyway, shall we? Right, let's go to
Such
Cindy.
a liar.
Cindy. I know. I love all the crazy ones. Put them all through. We'll deal with it. Cindy, Michigan. Howdy doody.
Hey, howdy doody. I've missed you guys.
Somebody's asked, do you ever sleep? also,
it's only 6 p.m., isn't it?
Also, I want to say this to you, Cindy. Nebret dingy aloni. That means
free pizza.
I have an inflatable dinghy in the Tigringi language.
That's crazy. I have a statement and a question, okay? I want to talk about migrants. I think that once they commit a crime, a serious crime like a sex offense, something like that, they should be immediately deported. I want to know, what the heck is wrong with your politicians that we can't pass a law to make this happen?
Because what they say is if they go back to their country, they're going to get executed or something, and then the human rights get them, and that's it, and they're here for life on benefits.
Who cares?
Well, our bloody politicians do.
I have to be honest with you, and this is going to be a question for a lot of people. In seriousness, if you rape a child in the UK and you go back to your country of origin and they shoot you on the runway when the plane lands, I personally don't have a problem with that. Now, I do accept that there will be some people who, for whatever moral or religious reason, will have a problem with it, but I don't. But here's the thing that amazed me, Cindy, the other day, and my producers want me to ask you whether there should be an ICE in the UK, but here was something. I saw a video of ICE. I hadn't realised that they're arresting not illegal migrants, they're arresting illegal migrants who've committed serious crimes. And this ICE agent wound down his window. I won't do the American accent, but he's going, we're here to arrest a paedophile.
A child sex offender.
Yeah, child sex offender.
That's what he said.
He's going, we're literally here for a child sex offender. They're going, hell no, we won't go, and all this sort of stuff. And he's literally there.
Yeah.
Child rapists.
And it is legal what they're doing, and those people are insurrectionists, you know, breaking the law.
Exactly. They are insurrectionists.
Yeah.
And you know what? I wish that ICE could personally kick their... You know what?
Well, they could, but it was going down badly when they shot that guy, although that guy does turn out... It did seem a bit excessive, but he was a very violent man. And obviously there's whistles going, and there's a human response. When there's loads of noise, people can panic just because of the noise. It's an animal flinging us. And I think basically they heard a shot, they thought he'd shot, and he got shot. So it was no one's fault, really. It's just a situation.
But no, it was his fault. Who in their right mind would be an insurrectionist with a gun?
And he was violent. He fought them. He fought them physically.
But this is the point that I've made on multiple occasions. A protest is standing outside ICE's office or standing outside the Republican office in Minneapolis saying, I don't agree with this. Right, or writing to your congressman, or whatever. It's not standing in front of the police or emergency services with a gun, trying to and kicking, damaging the vehicle or whatever it is. That's not a protest. That's just disruption. If you want to stand outside the state capitol going, I don't agree with this, then people would welcome that and say that's an important part of democracy.
Right, and have you heard what the mayor and the governor are saying? They're just egging it on.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, they've caused... they've whipped them up into, like, that they think they're Nazis,
They are. They're whipping them up.
And so, of course, you would fight Nazis, but this is what's happened. They're obviously not Nazis. They're not putting them in concentration camps. They're kicking them out of the country because they're not meant to be there. They're deranged. And you're right, it's the politicians that are fueling it. And we're seeing in New York what's going on with Mamdani now. It's all collapsing.
And the insurrectionists totally believe that they're doing the right thing.
Because of what you said, the politicians have whipped them up into this frenzy.
Yeah.
Thanks, Cindy.
Okay, I just want to say to you, some people have misunderstood Cindy. Right. So
let's bring her back. Let's bring Cindy back.
Well, no, she's gone now.
Oh, she's gone.
Right, just to be clear, America is behind us.
Yeah.
So the reason that she phones shows all day is because it's now 7 p.m. in the evening for her. So she phones Ian Collins in the morning where she is, and then she phones us in the evening.
Yeah, it's not even Saturday, it's still Friday.
By the way, Pete the Mole, can we read that joke out? We're probably not going to read that joke out. But anyway, yes, it was a reference to, okay. Should we read it out? Should we read it out? He said... I have an inflatable doll in Tigringi language. Right, by the way, I'll tell you what we should do. Why doesn't somebody attempt to apply for that job? Right, say that you are a Tigringi speaker. How are they going to know? Just go,
that's
do you
true,
know what I was about to do? Do you know what Do you know what I was about to
do? That.
Do you know what I was about to do? I was about to impersonate what I think a Tigringi speaker might sound like. That would end badly, wouldn't it? Yeah. That would end badly.
Yeah. Kevin in Basingstoke. Kev.
Morning.
Morning, yeah.
Yeah, I phoned in because Georgina made me laugh.
Well, she was being
she said you two were very intelligent and you talk a lot of sense.
Oh. Yeah, it was funny, wasn't it?
Oh, come on, it was funny.
Yeah, it was. No, I agree. Best line of the night.
But
it's not going to win you a chortle, though, is it? Let's be honest.
She said that she sees people dropping their trousers and crapping in the streets in London. I've worked in London for 18 years. I've never ever seen it.
Well, you're not going to the right places, then, aren't you?
It's anecdotal evidence, but I would just, but what she's talking is there's a general diminution of standards. Asher made a brilliant point the other day about the fact that nobody queues for a bus anymore, simply because the majority of people now waiting for a bus don't know that British people queue for buses.
By the way, Mark Wogan, another anecdote, he saw a woman having a poo in a doorway in Soho. So, you know, keep your eyes peeled. If that's what you want to see, you just got to keep your eyes peeled.
I'll tell you something. I saw somebody take a poo on the station platform.
We've all done it.
Does anyone remember Turnmills in Farringdon? I left that place at 2 in the afternoon. Right. Yeah.
Where have you seen someone do a poo? It's strange. 03444991000.
I don't want to admit to anything.
Where have you done a poo?
I don't want to admit to anything untoward, but that nightclub shut at What to tell you? How that was it.
Defecating.
That was the whole story.
Call us. Have you ever done something like that?
Can we get a member of OCS cleaning to platform 3? OCS cleaning for platform 3. And it was like, it wasn't like we've got a number 2 problem. They go, we've got a section 58 or something like that, which meant massive poo.
Inspector Sand.
Sorry, are you allowed to tell them about the Inspector Sand thing? Anyway.
Andre.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Do you not agree with the Prime Minister going to China then, trying to do a trade deal? I thought that's what the whole thing of...
No, I don't believe that.
I don't actually, Kevin, can I be honest with you? I don't know whether I do or I don't, because it feels pathetic. But I don't have a problem with him engaging with China. I think I just feel like he's sucking up to them, and it's additionally stupid because the way that he's a human rights lawyer who did. I mean, that's Jimmy Lau, right? We've got one country in the world where we guarantee democracy for. That's Hong Kong. Jimmy Lau is a British citizen. I mean, at least get him released. You know what I mean?
Why is he not the priority like that Egyptian guy? I don't think he'd ever been here. Why was he a priority and this guy isn't? Well, we know why.
Most of our products we've got in our homes are made in China. So,
and they managed to get here without a trade deal.
But, well, yeah, but with a trade deal, it's cheaper, isn't it? And, I mean, if we'd stayed in the EU, they've just done 2 massive trade deals, with one with India and one with South America, which is over 2 billion people. And that is a proper trade deal that took years to negotiate on everything, not just the.
But you know, okay. So let me throw it back at you. Does it not feel a bit forced and pathetic to you?
Well, I mean,
when he was looking at that big yellow paper flower thing, just stood there on his own, going, "This is what's important about China," or whatever. Yeah, sorry, it sounded a bit like Nelson Mandela, but you know that, and like when he was stood there looking at a bridge, and you think it just feels weird. I don't know whether it's him or whether it's China or whether it's both.
But the thing is, we're never going to get a great trade deal like the EU can, because we're a small country. It's like Sainsbury's and Tesco's will get a much better deal with their
and yet Singapore has more trade deals than the EU. It's amazing, isn't it?
Say that again?
Singapore has more trade deals than the EU.
Yeah,
the problem is you're look, I think you're quite a good bloke, but your assumption is the bigger the political entity, the better it will be. That's your.
We sell more around the world than to the EU.
That's your assumption. Yeah. Whereas Singapore by being smaller has actually got more trade deals than the EU.
The EU is our biggest trading partner.
But we sell more around the world than to the EU.
But the point is the central premise we will not get as good trading deals as the EU because we're small is blown away by the fact that Singapore has more trade deals than the EU and is tiny.
And what do we have to sell? We don't have any. We don't make anything. We can't make any. We've got no energy.
More trade deals doesn't mean they're better trade deals.
No. But the point is your central premise was that negotiating a trade deal is based on the size of your economy, and my central point back is the fact Singapore has got more trade deals than the EU proves that you're wrong.
Yeah, but just because you've got more doesn't mean better. It just.
But that wasn't the point you were making. Right,
yeah, going around in circles. Look, Kevin, if you really try, Kevin and Barry, you might get your wish come true and see someone defecating in the street.
Okay. So now I've got to say, Starmer is Dengoro Abdi. That is some Tigringi for he's a dunce. There we go.
And we'll have some more of that information after this.
the UK. On DAB+. On your smart speaker. On your smart TV. And on your side. This is Talk.
This is The Late Show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould. God, I would love you to hear some of the stuff that gets discussed during the break. OK, let's go to Yasmin, the teenage witch. Yasmin, you're on Talk.
Hiya, darling.
Hello.
Morning.
I've been laughing at Ash trying to give her the Heimlich manoeuvre, laughing me head off.
I'll tell you what, can we watch that again?
Because Grumpy Old Men's going to be on tomorrow on YouTube. Make sure you watch it. It's me, Mark Wogan, and Kyle is away. He's on holiday. So we've got Alex, who was in, and unfortunately she started coughing. I mean, she was coughing and
he just dumped that.
It, yeah.
He just dumped that.
Yeah, probably. But anyway, she was having a coughing fit, and you mustn't objectify anyone. And so I leapt in there with my Heimlich skills and gave her a good Heimlicking.
So the thing that got dumped was I suggested that your motives were not purely medical.
Yeah, they were. Let's have a look at what happened. You can watch the whole episode tomorrow. Let's have a look.
Hold on. Are you all right, Derek?
Oh, Derek. You're all right. They get a Heimlich manoeuvre.
Yeah. We're going to go to a break and we're going to perform some CPR on Alex.
And she was right as rain after it. It was another success.
It was brilliant.
Thanks,
what I'd like to say is, on the 2nd of February, it's Imbolc, which is the Irish Celtic festival.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And it's about lighting bonfires, candles.
Is that where they do that massive bonfire?
Yeah.
It's like 200 feet high. I've seen them on the top of it. It's very well constructed.
That might be the 12th.
That's the Wicker Man, that.
Oh, right.
And,
no, when they're doing that estate, which is a massive.
No, that is the anniversary of the Battle of the Boyne.
They get the pallets.
No,
Pallets.
Let's not get into that. Right, just to be clear, what that is, that's the anniversary of the defeat of the Catholics.
I mean, it looks nice. I didn't realise of the significance. I just like the big pallets.
Right, let's have none of that.
But
I love that, the fact you're talking about a nice event. Asher's managed to remember a sectarian incident, the anniversary of the Battle of the Boyne, the defeat by William of Orange and Bonnie Prince Charlie.
Well, the bonfire was good. Anyway, go on, Yasmin.
And it's about bringing the sun energy back into the home.
Oh, we need some of that.
And it's also, for this year, 2026, it's all about individuality. But it's the year of the horse in Chinese astrology, which means, I think Ash was trying to be an horse earlier.
I was born in the year of the hog, or pig. I prefer hog.
Oh, they're very lucky pigs, very lucky. But the year of the horse is about getting together in groups, because horses like to be in groups, not singular. Yeah. And it's also about forward movement, preambulation, which you know about, but it's also about getting together with people and working forward. It's about focusing on forward movement. Now, if you want to bring money in this year, people who are struggling, get a white jar, not a glass one, a white jar with a lid, and fill it 3/4 full of white rice and keep it in the corner of your kitchen, and money will start to flow in. The other thing...
Hold on, how does that work then? How does rice...
It doesn't, but...
It does, because 1 billion Chinese do it.
Yeah, so that must be true.
Yeah, but many Chinese are poor.
Yeah, but they're not putting their rice in the kitchen.
Let me just say, their economy isn't poor. And they've been doing feng shui for thousands.
Well, that's Japanese, isn't it? Feng shui.
Well, feng shui is all about...
Oh, and that as well, yeah.
Feng shui is all about... What feng shui means is wind and water. That's what it actually means.
I've had that problem.
I had a bit of that earlier.
But it's about clearing clutter, keeping your space where you live bright energy, which means clear. energy. So that
You got to shut the bog seat as well in Feng Shui.
Because you know, money, it is a water element. You've heard of...
That's why you have to shut the toilet lid, because otherwise your money flows down the toilet in Feng Shui.
Yeah, it does, but...
Why do you believe? You believe in every sort of witchcraft. I mean, you've got to pick the witchcraft that you...
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
right. You've got to
you're
have
all
one.
over the
You've got to
place.
nail your colours to a mast.
Yeah.
Let me explain. I do hoodoo, I do voodoo.
Hoodoo and voodoo?
Who do you do? Do what?
Celtic, and I also do. I'm an eclectic witch, which means I borrow from different traditions and use it in me every day. But what I'm saying is the key thing this year to get money in is to literally imagine a big magnet in front of you and that the money's being pulled towards you.
And a little jar, white jar of rice in the kitchen, 3/4 full. Yeah.
And
that'll do it.
Also, mint in the garden or even in a plant
Don't
pot.
plant mint in the garden, it will take over.
Yeah, it's great. All that mint, lovely.
You
won't know what to do with it. You'll end up with that much of it. You'll have jars of it. I found that.
What you do is you get the mint, you put it in water, you put some salt in it, you put a bit of cinnamon in it, and you do a floor wash and a door wash with it, and you wash your windows with it as well. You don't put a lot of cinnamon, just a pinch, and it's to elevate money. Let me explain. Your brain is electrical. It sends out signals, right? But your emotions is a magnet and it draws in power. So if emotionally you feel that everything's clean around you, it lifts your energy. And if you focus on something high, like getting in to a good job and things like that, and positive energy, what happens is that magnetically draws to you. That's the way witchcraft works.
Thanks, Yasmin, but don't forget, tomorrow is What Just Happened. Let's have a little taste of what just happened and what just happened. And let me just do that take two. And what just happened is on tomorrow, so let's have a look at what is going to happen on what just happened. That's better.
Has been Kevin O'Sullivan moaning to his two listeners about the BBC. He's like a stuck record. All right. I mean...
So what are you then, mate? You're half of my audience then.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. Ash?
Suzanne says, yes, Kevin, love your show and love your opinions even more. It's much easier for me to tune in during the drive time slot before the rabble get home. Fulham for Europe next season. So that's tomorrow on YouTube. Make sure you tune in. It's
By
a
the way,
whip snorter.
I just want to say to you that we have been studying together the Tigrinya language, right? And we've discovered that the word Asher is actually a word in Tigrinya. Do you know what it means? It means fool, idiot or stupid.
Yeah, well. And also, Karash Asher means fat fool or fat idiot. Karash Asher.
Karash Asher.
So there you go.
I can't believe the word Asher exists in Tigrinya language.
And it means idiot and
It means
fool.
idiot.
I mean, it's,
it means idiot.
it's quite good,
Superb.
actually, isn't it?
Right, let's go to Tony in Lancashire. Tony, you're on talk. Thank you. By the way, thank you for Pete. Thanks to Pete, who's been studying the Tigrinya language tonight.
Good evening, Andre and Ash. All right?
All right, man. How are you, Tony? You all right? Are you on hands-free?
Yes.
Can you use the hand, please?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Any better? Hello?
Have you done it?
Yeah, done it.
Yeah, that's better, yeah. So what's up, Tyrone?
Yeah. I'd just like to ask one question. About what bloody Keir Starmer's doing, bloody China super embassy. As people seem to have forgot about the post office scandal, the Fujitsu.
Fujitsu's Japanese.
About that? Is anything being
Yeah, what
done
about the COVID crisis? Never mind the Fujitsu, which is Japanese.
Fujitsu's Japanese.
Well, is it?
Yeah, but just switch to COVID.
We will dump this,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right. If you say
Just say it was COVID.
Pardon?
Yeah. If you say when you said, what about Fujitsu, and we said, that's Japanese, we thought you were going to say something else then, which we would have had to have dumped, but you didn't say it. So I want to congratulate you for not saying what we thought you were going to say.
Oh, no.
They had a little dump, though, didn't you? You had a little dump out there. We lost a bit of time.
No.
Yeah, they had a dump on you, Tony.
No, it was me.
It's bloody ridiculous.
I know.
It's ridiculous.
But the reality is, look, you're saying about scandals with China. The coronavirus, as Asher quite rightly points out, 5 million people were killed because of that Wuhan laboratory, and we had the World Health Organization pretending it came from a fish market. It was just insulting our intelligence.
And they owe us £500 billion.
Well, why not we get it back? Why are we doing I'd rather do deals with bloody America, to be honest.
Do you know, in Manchester, they had a consulate and they actually kidnapped people into the embassy. They actually did
Say
do
that again?
They actually got people off the street, kidnapped them into the not embassy, the consulate, whatever, in Manchester.
Oh, no, they were saying the new super embassy is big enough to cremate the bodies of the kidnapped who they murdered.
And they want to keep these 7 other buildings, including their old embassy in London as well.
It's what I don't get, right? You don't think bugger bloody Keir Starmer doing stupid deals with bloody China. Yeah, we've had them in our House of Parliament spying. Oh, yeah, the China slagged Trump off. What has Trump done? Nothing to us.
No.
Except warn us about China.
I mean, what is amazing you've got 2 million Uyghurs, or 1.5 to 2.5 million. We're not sure how many in concentration camps. Donald Trump is deporting illegal aliens who've committed crime, and you're going, President Xi's not as bad.
We should be doing that. I wish we had IC here doing that, because they're not going to go quiet, are they? You've got all these lefty walkers saying, oh, we don't want them, we don't want them. Well, how are you going to get shut them? Because they're not going to go quiet.
By the way, it's 2022. China has come under fire for allegedly brutally suppressing protests outside its consulate general in Manchester, with alleged staff destroying provocative signs and dragging an activist off the street, beating him up. I actually got roughed up at the opposite the Chinese embassy. But I just knocked on the door and he opened it, and I said, I've got to come and get a visa. And he just went, he didn't speak English, he pushed me out.
Really?
Yeah, my girlfriend at the time was going to get a visa for China. We went to the embassy, and then they go, right, go over the road. So we went over the road, knocked on the door, knocking, and I opened it, and this little Chinese man came out. He didn't speak a word of English, and I went, can we go? And he just went, I'm just pushed out. They don't care.
You've got that in left walking NHS who can't stand English or don't know how to do the job. The Tuckerman police officers I've been hearing, and NHS for extra staff. Well, flipping heck, I'll tell you, this country's upside down.
Do you reckon this country can be brought back from the dead?
Yes. As long as they reform, do what they're going to say, bloody deport, all these bloody illegals. Even, to be honest, I'm with Nigel Farage on this one. I've spoken to a lot of people in the area, and even some of them agree. Even the women and children who's overstayed the welcome on visas, deport them.
Yeah, we can't be. I mean, the solution to Libya.
Another thing, NHS, we can't afford. We've got all these illegals coming in out.
It's not just about the illegals, though. There's lots of legal people here who are, not really taking part in the country's culture.
And what about we've got about 1.5 million. We've got about 1.5 million.
Because they're not going to go quiet, are they?
We've got about 1.5 million people heading for indefinite leave to remain. They will all be able to bring their family over. That's why the young men, right? Now, let me tell you, the courts have ruled the definition of family is anyone that you find that you are close to. So that can be somebody who's biologically related to you, or just friends that you think of as brothers
the
and
Afghanis
sisters.
that they tried to secretly smuggle in, but we found out some of them have brought up to 20 relatives, cousins, third cousins.
Yeah, and of course the Gazan children who are being treated in British hospitals, they've got, but none of these people who are being treated, the children being treated in hospitals from Gaza are never going back to Gaza, and some of them brought 15, 20 relatives with them. It's crazy.
Go back to Gaza, my blooming eyes. We don't want them here. Oh, Palestine and all these bloody lots.
I agree. And also, the solution to Libya is not to empty everyone out of Libya and move them all to Birmingham. That's not the solution.
Well, this is why we've got this problem, because of bloody our stupid incumbent government.
Thanks, Tony. Oh, anything more? Anything else? No.
Tony's feeling robust this evening.
It is, yeah. 03444 99 1000. It's talk. We're going to do the press preview next.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, we were talking about freedom of the city. So you're going to do freedom of the city, aren't you?
Yeah, I want to drive me sheep over London Bridge.
Just to explain, it was James Whale's wish that his staff got freedom of the city when he died, after he died, and we're going to do that, and Charlie Mullins is going to pay for it, and he's going to come in next week, and he's going to tell us all about it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a picture of the freedom of the city plaque and send it to all the team so they can see it. Let's
go into the papers tomorrow's, today's papers now, and the Soar Away Sun, 2 free darts tickets, so get there, worth 70 quid, 8,000 up for grabs, and the headline, 1 year after jail release, Epstein fixed Russian girl for Andrew, and the story is Epstein arranged for a beautiful, trustworthy 26-year-old Russian woman to meet Andrew Battenberg. Shock files released last night's show. The pedo financier emailed Andrew in 2010, a year after his release from jail for soliciting prostitution from a minor. Andrew replied he would be delighted to see her and asked, will she be bringing a message from you? Or is it a massage from you? I don't know.
I've got to be honest with you.
In Brooklyn, the wedding video.
My favourite thing about The Sun is when they always say that a pedo's been caged. I love when pedos are caged. Yeah. Like a wild animal. He's been caged.
Well, they are, yeah.
Caged.
The Daily Express, nearly 10 years on, and we are still waiting. So today, the paper that led the call to leave the EU says, now you must give Britain a proper Brexit. Nigel Farage, Badenouche and Boris Johnson back our new campaign to stop the betrayal.
I've got to be honest with you. I think so. When people come on this show, in fact, Kevin from Basingstoke comes on all the time, and he goes, "Well, but Brexit's been a disaster." The problem is we're not using the opportunity of our freedom and independence to actually bring in the sort of laws that will make our country successful.
The Daily Mirror, Dosh and Beck's, David signs £300 million perfume deal. And the Epstein files, Trump hit by underage sex claim.
I've got to be honest with you. I think that this is garbage about Donald Trump. Yeah. Can I tell you, Virginia Roberts-Giuffre said that when she told Donald Trump about what Epstein was up to, he banned him from Mar-a-Lago. Yeah. Does that sound like a co-conspirator?
Also, he doesn't strike me as someone who likes busty, 25 year, you know what I mean? Anyway, the Daily Star. Who are Daily Star?
Well, this is another dubious claim, isn't it?
And the computer says no is their thought for the day. And the main headline, Gates caught STD from Epstein sex girls. He could have caught it from anywhere. Microsoft billionaire Bill Gates caught us STD from Russian girls according to outrageous new claims in the Epstein files. Home Alone mum, Kath dies. Oh, that's the actress. What was her name? It just says Kath at 71. Catherine O'Hara, yeah. A marvellous, great actor.
She played.
He ruined his life. Yeah, that's. No. The Daily Telegraph, Epstein email to Andrew, I have a Russian friend for you, she's 26. Well, we've just saw
Well, I mean, if he's providing women that are adults, I mean, can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? Let's do something about this sex offender. He shagged a 30-year-old. What? I mean, that's just nonsense.
Starmer, we have duty to investigate troops. Sir Keir Starmer called for a mandatory duty to investigate allegations about British troops in a newly uncovered document that undermines Downing Street's defence of its legal activism. Court documents unearthed by the Telegraph show that in 2005 the Prime Minister laid the legal groundwork for failed investigations into British troops operating in Iraq. The case led to an investigation that cost £60 million and did not result in a single prosecution. A bit like when they got all those journalists in and they all got let off. That was Starmer leading that, the CPS, the Sun journalists. They all got found innocent.
Isn't it interesting? Starmer's behind all of this, isn't he? All of this nastiness, all of this lawfare, all of this using the Human Rights Act to persecute innocent people. Time and time again, the same names come up. Richard Harmer and Keir Starmer.
It's a merry-go-round. Human rights merry-go-round. UK drinkers set to pay highest wine prices. UK will start paying the highest wine taxes in Europe from tomorrow in a fresh blow for Britain's ailing pubs. Alcohol duty will rise by 3.66%. So everything's getting worse. There's a picture of Ghislaine Maxwell getting out of a sport. Yeah, Ghislaine, yeah. Anyway,
what is wrong with you two?
PM hits back at Trump over China visit. The Prime Minister's hit back at Donald Trump's criticism of his China trip, saying ignoring Beijing would be foolhardy. The US President said the visit was very dangerous. Speaking in Shanghai a day after meeting EU Jinping, the Chinese President, Sir Keir Starmer said, it would be foolhardy to say we'll ignore the French President.
How can we need to just do this without Nelson Mandela in it.
Voters don't care about elections, says Minister.
Oh.
Voters do not care about the unnecessary local elections. Unnecessary. That Labour is cancelling. A minister has claimed, Chris Bryant, him, Minister for Trade, insists, he's quite a good laugh, we had him in once, but, you know, he's got stupid ideas. The government is facing a backlash over plans to cancel local elections for 4.6 million people in May, but Sir Chris said, I don't think voters like unnecessary elections very much. We don't need that. We'll just tell you what to do.
There we go. Let's cancel the elections. Voters don't like elections, don't they? Really? That's why they registered to vote, right? Literally, the clue's in the title. Voters don't like elections. No, people might not like elections, but voters definitely
We fought for it. It's called democracy. Starmer suggests he would back Iran strike. We talked about this earlier. Keir Starmer suggested Britain would support Donald Trump striking Iran. We'll probably make them a...
I think we should go to a break, because I think your microphone's broken, Asher.
Is it?
Yeah, let's go to a break.
1, 2, testing, 1, 2, 3. We'll be back after this with a new...
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is The Late Show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould. Apologies if there was some popping on the microphone there. Let's get back.
Is this all right now? Yes, all right.
Let's get back to the press preview, Asher, very quickly, because we've got some calls.
FT weekend, Epstein sent thousands of pounds to Mandelson's husband. Emails show Jeffrey Epstein sent thousands of pounds to Lord Peter Mandelson's husband, Ronaldo Avila da Silva, according to emails published by the US Department of Justice, raising further questions over the friendship between the late sex.
I wish I had a mate where you could just go, hey, can you just give me 20 grand?
He's got loads of mates like that. That's actually not much, is it, for him? He gets...
yeah, that's right. For Mandelson, just asking for money.
That's just pocket change to go down the shop. Eye weekend, half of UK voters want Keir Starmer replaced now in worst ever ratings. New polling delivers fresh blow to the Prime Minister's authority. And Andrew invited Epstein to Palace after financiers child sex of conviction. Emails show it's all coming out with Andy Battenberg. Right, and the Times. Epstein invited to Palace, also in the Times. Andrew asked paedophile to visit a month after release. 3 million pages of files. That's going to take a long time to go through.
They're doing it now.
Oh, Nigel, it's wonderful. My Week by Suella Braverman. Actually, it's Braverman. I used to know her. Anyway, let's go back to the calls. The most romantic. I've
got to be honest with you. These new political parties, whether it be the Greens, whether it be Reform, whether it be Advance, whether it be UKIP, are actually nice to their members, whereas Labour, Conservatives and Greens Labour, Conservatives and Lib Dems are horrible to their ordinary members.
Kenneth in London. Kenneth.
Good morning.
What's the frequency?
Gentlemen. Just for your information, the name Asher, Hebrew name, it means happy, blessed, or fortunate.
Yeah, in Hebrew, I did know that. Yeah, but not in bloody in.
Tigringa.
Yeah, it means fool, idiot, and Kesher Asher means fat idiot.
Well,
it's more accurate.
That would apply to anybody who doesn't believe in Jesus Christ, Ash.
But listen, so it's right.
Well, they wouldn't necessarily be a fat idiot.
I do believe in Jesus Christ.
Asher was the 8th son.
I just don't think he's Messiah. He was a very naughty boy.
But listen, I would like to talk about something very, very crucial. When you look at the world situation today, we can see extreme evil is increasing on a worldwide scale that we've never seen before.
Well, have we not seen it before in the 30s and 40s? Is it worse than that, do you think?
I think it is much, much worse because the whole world is involved.
That's true. Even the good governments are sort of nasty now.
I would like to focus on this point. The greatest problem in the world and the UK is that we are all born sinners. We are the problem. We are hostile to the God of the Bible. This is the problem in the world.
So an innocent baby is a sinner.
Born with a sinful nature.
But just a little baby.
No, but the greatest thing about that, Ken, is that it gives us a choice in this life as to whether we want to follow our sinfulness or whether we want to follow, the path to being good. And very often, doing stupid things, doing bad things can seem great at the time, but actually that is the challenge that God sets us, and I think it's the best thing about life. Do you know they asked Margaret Thatcher what is the most important principle about Christianity, and she said choice as to whether to be a good person or not.
Wonderful points, Andre. I must admit that's a wonderful point you brought up now. This is what the Bible says. It's in Proverbs chapter 9. It says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Now, the fear of the Lord here, it speaks about having reverence, awe, and respect to God, our Creator. It's not about terror. Wisdom from the Bible is talking about the reverence and awe of God, our Creator. And the beginning of wisdom is to have that reverence for God. That is the beginning, the starting point of godly wisdom. Now, the problem is there's no fear of God, especially in the UK now. The fear of God is gone. There's no fear of God. Very little fear of God. And that's where all the problems are stemming from. We've turned our back on God or His conviction in our spirit, and we all want to go our own way instead of going God's way. And that's the essence of...
How did that happen, Ken? How did we go down this bad path?
Through Adam and Eve, our father and mother, they rebelled against God in the Garden of Eden. They partook of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But I would like to just leave you with this thought. This is a thought to consider for everybody.
Ken's final thought.
Listen to this.
Okay.
Jesus is going to judge us. On Judgment Day, he's going to say to billions of people, this is what he's going to say. He's pre-warned us in the Bible in Matthew 25. He's going to say to billions of people on Judgment Day, depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. And he also says, the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever, and they have no rest day or night. So please, everybody who's listening, don't let this happen to you. Put away our pride and ask God for forgiveness. Believe in Jesus. He died for us. He loves us. Don't go to hell, friends.
Oh.
He is our only hope. Jesus.
Leave them wanting more, Ken.
Thank you so much,
No,
Ken.
carry on.
No, let's leave it there. Thank you so much,
Let's
Ken.
go to more religious instruction with Grace in London.
Hi. I worry about Ken thinking that I'm disagreeable when I comment following him, and I don't need to be. And I very much.
I don't think he's ever criticised you.
We should have kept Ken on.
I very much appreciate his passion. I personally think there's a good case for annihilationism regarding hell.
Can I ask you this question about hell? Right.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about this. I think that hell is brilliant. Right. If you are a vacuous, if you are a vacuous worshipper of money, if you're a hedonist, if you don't care about things like family, if you don't care about things like love, if you don't care about the bigger picture, if you're a Love Island type person, I think that basically it's your utopia. I think there's a trick with hell that actually it is brilliant if you're a moron.
Am I going to go to hell because I used to watch Love Island?
No, but you know what I mean?
Well, you'll like it.
Do you know what I mean? I think it's probably, rather than it being burning or whatever, I think it's probably just vacuous, anonymous sex, drugs and all that sort of thing.
Well, Grace loves all that sort of thing.
I'm very anti-sex. I think hell is not necessarily literal fire because some things in the Bible are not literal, but we can't easily know. But I do think that the concept of fire helps us to understand that things are eliminated. It's destruction. I don't think, and I really don't want to get into an argument with Ken or anyone like this, and I'm not trying to be argumentative, but I do think in looking in detail at the scriptures that it seems the case that people who are in hell cease ultimately to exist, as opposed to continuing to exist in a state of suffering forever and ever and ever and ever. I don't think that God causes people to exist forever and ever and ever and ever. I think that they cease to be after.
So the eternal damnation is that you cease to exist?
Well, yes, but I think some people are talking about God keeping people in a state of consciousness so that they can always be suffering eternally forever. Whereas I think that there is
but if my concept of hell, which is a vacuous place where if you're that sort of person, you'll actually quite like it, I think is a sensible thought.
I don't think people would like it, because I think that what we don't realise is that most of the things that we enjoy are actually to some extent derived from God having created them, and that we would be without God and his goodness if we're separated from him because we've chosen not to turn to him. But each person has that choice, and I mean Adam and Eve were mentioned, and people who are theologians have differing views on how you should interpret Adam and Eve. But however you choose to interpret Adam and Eve, and whatever you believe about whether or not a baby is innocent, I think we all know deep down that we've done some stuff that we shouldn't have done.
I don't think. I mean, I understand why Asher made the point, but I don't think original sin is about saying a baby is evil. What you're saying is we're all born with the ability to do good and the ability to do bad, and therefore we have a choice in our lives about what we want to do.
Well, yeah, we have a choice, and I think we all know that.
As an example, if you were to be one of those people who spends all your time shoplifting rather than getting a proper job, for the first bit of doing that, it will seem like quite a good idea. And after a time, you will discover that your life was worse for not following the path for being good.
Well, I mean, some people, they feel for a while that they're benefiting from nefarious activities, but ultimately, Jesus is offering each of us a choice, and as Ken said, we should turn to him because he offers us something that we don't deserve. He offers us salvation that we don't deserve, and he does provide greater joy than anything else. And I was thinking, and I don't seem like I'm trying to argue with people, but an earlier caller mentioned the March with Jesus, and I was beginning to talk about this last week, and you guys talked about how it's about having the freedom to walk wherever we want to in London. Yeah. And I completely agree that we should have the freedom to walk wherever we want to in London. I absolutely agree with that. However, I would make the point that that's slightly different from worshipping Jesus. Worshipping Jesus doesn't require us to go to a particular location. We can walk with Jesus through the practice of our lives. We don't need to march with a banner that says mass deportations now to walk with Jesus. So I mean, I'm not disagreeing that we should be able to walk wherever we want, but it looks to me like this event was more about marching politically.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Graham. Come on, you're on talk.
Graham. Hello, it's Graham here. How you doing? Okay.
Yeah, man. Hey, baby. Hey, Graham. What's going on, man?
Yeah, I think it's getting better for me these days. I'm doing well.
Yeah, good. Yeah, where's your guitar, Graham? Where's your guitar gone?
Yeah, I just thought I'd talk to you this time rather than sing. Is that okay?
We've never had a conversation with you. You just come on and play your guitar. But I like this. We want to know about Graham because he's a rock star that used to ring our show. By the way, Ben Fletcher's here. He's going to be doing the show. We're having a chat with him. Graham, so what's up? Talk to us.
Yeah, I'm doing well these days. I'm travelling about playing the guitar elsewhere at chip shops and cafes and restaurants.
You see, they wouldn't put this call through. This is gold dust. Carry on, Graham.
And I voted for the Green Party in the election.
That makes sense.
I preferred the singing, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. This is a Green Party voter.
Next government.
All right. Thank you so much, Graham. You met Robbie Williams. This is Ben Fletcher from TalkSport, who takes over. For those of you that are listening, he'll be on in 5 or 10 minutes.
I will.
Go on, tell me about Robbie Williams.
It was brilliant, yeah. Came in Thursday on Drive on TalkSport.
So I thought you were going to say something else. On Drive.
On Drive,
yeah.
He came on the show.
He's not been doing that for years.
No. Yeah, he came on Drive with Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent. It was really great. It was quite surreal, actually, because he turned up with his entourage.
With three old men, weren't they? Very old men. I like that. They were obviously proper musicians. I met him as well Thursday.
Yeah, did you?
Nice.
Well, when he walked in, he sort of said, "Hello, gang," and there was like all the management bubble round by the management desks, which I lovingly call 75 Grand Corner. That's the version. That's the version I can use on air.
75 Grand Corner.
Walked straight up to me, shook my hand.
He said, "You're Ben."
And said, "Love the shirt." Yeah. No, he didn't say that. Rod Stewart said that, not Robbie Williams, but you know, one of those things. And he said, "Love the shirt," and I said, "Ben, Bob," and off he went.
Well, you know,
lovely guy, really lovely
this,
guy.
But Tom, who works here, now works at Virgin, he said to me, "You know, you're the reason he came in." And I said, "What you talking about, Willis?" And what happened was, I used to do a sports bar. We used to play this vomiting noise over an 80s track every night. It was part of a feature called Back in Time.
I remember.
And Robbie Williams had just done a gig in Paris, and he doesn't go out with the lads after the gig because he doesn't do drugs or drink or anything like that anymore. So he just goes to the hotel room, puts Talk Sport on, he goes, I think I'll listen to the lad. He hears his song and the vomiting over it. He doesn't realise we do that every night. And he twitters, Andy Goldstein is a twat or something like that. Goldstein contacts him and says, no, that's the way, we do this every day.
Great impression, by the way.
And good game. And then he become mates. So it's down to me that Robbie Williams, we had Blobby Williams, a fat tribute act, whose big song was Let Me See the Menu. But what have you got coming up on your show?
Well, we're going to revisit some of that visit of Robbie Williams to TalkSport Towers. We'll play a little bit later on. So if you didn't hear it and you can't get on the TalkSport YouTube channel, we'll play a little bit of the chat and one of his new singles from the new album.
They did 3 songs, didn't they? And they're really good. And he's, you know, he's.
And is he a Stoke City fan?
He is, big Stoke City fan. Yeah. But it's really down to earth. And I happened to watch the Take That documentary Under Sufferance with my wife the night before.
I thought it was really interesting.
Really good. It's really good, and you know, obviously being an 11, 12-year-old boy when they were sort of hitting their peak in 94, 95, there or thereabouts, wasn't a Take That fan.
No.
But when Robbie left the band, it was a career that we grew up with.
Yeah.
You know, I remember buying Old Before I Die on CD single in Woolworths. Ask your granddad what's
now you are old.
Do you know what, Mike? My brother's my brother's partner had some tickets to take that concert. She couldn't attend. So
Yeah.
me and my brother went along, and somebody held up a sign, which I thought was brilliant. I don't know if it's too naughty, but they had a sign saying, "We're legal now," which I thought was an absolutely superb thing to
What,
put
legal
on.
to go out for a drink after you with the band?
And of course, Paul Ross, your week guy, he had Usain Bolt.
He did, out watching the Formula E, so he popped on. Big Man United fan, so they talked about that. So yeah, all the big guests.
What else you got on, man? What, you got any authors or other things?
Not this week. We're very sporty this week, which I know isn't.
Are Villa going to win the league? We're going to win the league.
I'd love it if you did, because that would shut up all the Arsenal fans in the office, who are absolutely feverish at the moment. I'd love Villa to win the league. I would.
Yeah, it'd be. I would as well, obviously.